country where you can actually sit alone and be alone. So while I'm trying to get settled, enjoy the view with me. I was gonna bloody write a book at some point, but I could probably write one just about my past few months. Let's say about 9 months altogether, maybe more. Just the 3 months I've been through were spiritually awakening to us to somewhat, like, I'm not gonna dive into some religious talks or something like that, but what I'm trying to say is this is gonna be a rather long video, so you might wanna watch it or listen to it in chunks. My general attitude is that even with photography, I don't like too much editing. I don't like faking stuff. I am who I am. I've got nothing to hide. Well, honestly, there is one small detail about my story that I will keep for myself because it's not relevant and it's not good to talk about it. But everything else, I will be completely honest. Having said that, 41, I've got 4 kids. One of them's 15, then 6 and 4 and 2. So I've got a big boy, 2 lovely sweet girls, the youngest one's a girl, and then another boy who was born without a foot. They call it a limb transversal. Still don't know what exactly causes that. Probably the amniotic bands they wrap around the limbs stop the blood flow, and then just development is not the same anymore. So yeah, he's a little pirate. He's got a prosthetic leg, but you know, he's a very lively kid. He lives a pretty normal life with all that. Even before he had his first prosthetic, I had to look for him sometimes, climbing literally on the ceilings. Very fast, very lively, very energetic kid. Smart. All my kids are really... Pardon. No, I do cough a lot, I'm sorry, I'm a smoker for a long time. All my kids were the biggest blessing I've ever had in my life. The best thing that ever happened to me, for sure. And they're also the greatest teachers. This week I had an appointment with a lot of people, and I said that I was one of my best teachers in my life, and then later on I figured I said the wrong thing. It was my kids. And then what I actually taught myself, with help of many people, of course. You never go through everything alone. We sometimes get help by, let's say, the grace of the higher power, if you want to call it that way, or God, or whatever you prefer to call. I really don't care about the religious connotations, but sometimes we are guided, protected, loved, hugged, saved by something much greater than ourselves. So yeah, I don't know, but it's very complicated to really begin the right way, to really end this story the right way. Well, it ends when I'm gonna end, of course. So basically, to keep it short, well, the short version of my story is I was born poor, lived on the streets, believed in myself, believed in the impossible and everything in between, and achieved it. Yeah, I lived the wildest dreams. I had wishes I never imagined even still come true, and all those that I wanted did come true. So yeah, I would say I know quite a lot about manifesting, and it's like on a very pragmatic and practical level as well. And I recently lost everything, literally everything I worked for. Family, money, my e-bike that I was working for and working on, not even fully paid off yet. It's so hard to imagine what I've been through. It's so hard to even believe, even though it was on my skin. I did it myself, I experienced it myself, and I have a bunch of witnesses which I don't even need to drag into this. I don't want to prove myself, I don't need to prove myself. It's just sad and funny at the same time, because for the most part, yeah, I would say a lot of people are happy to talk about their success, their achievements, their greatness and all that stuff, and I'm here just honestly talking about all my screw-ups. I would use a different word, but this is gonna go on some different platforms, so I hope I'm not gonna drop any unnecessary bombs and stuff like that. Yeah, my language can be harsh. I come from Slovenia, that's ex-Yugoslavia. For those that don't know where it is, please do look on the map. It's on the on the east border of Italy, south border of Austria, west border of Hungary, small chunk of it, and then on the north of Croatia, where we used to be together in a federation called Yugoslavia before '91. So I was born early 80s. I'm 41 now, as I said before. I'm just gonna take my hoodie off while I talk because it's getting really hot. Finally, Netherlands is so cold and annoying when it comes to weather. Bear with me, please. So, yeah, I was born through a couple of people called mom and dad. My mom at the time was working as a cleaning lady for the National Railway Company, and my dad was working as like a steel technician. So basically in the factory of steel. It was one of the biggest factories back in Yugoslavia back then. They were building like this huge stuff. But yeah, generally we were basically a working class family. However, as far as I remember, and my memory is quite good to be honest, considering everything I've done, which we'll get to that as well. So they were working for these companies, and even though we were a working class family, back in those days, I don't know whether this was because of socialism was really based on debt or whatever, like the capitalism isn't anyway, but everything is based on debt. But people are saying that we were able to live so comfortably because there was just too much money being spent on this kind of stuff. Okay, I don't know. I was too young to understand, and I honestly did not. You can't really go and research everything because history is written and rewritten so often, especially in these digital days. And in Slovenia, it's hard to find anything on internet that's older than 20 years, I think. It's really hard. At least something valuable. Anyway, we lived really well. So we had low income, but we could have summer holidays, we could have winter holidays. So it was kind of like being the middle class family somewhere without any problems. The education was free, healthcare is free, all this kind of stuff. However, let's say starting with some of my earliest memories, if I go to the good ones first, I remember, for example, my dad, when he was still drinking, so he drank quite heavily until my age of 5. He was more fun. He would play more often, he was more fun, but you know, if he didn't have that drink, you would also see his very dark side of him. Loud, aggressive, you know, I remember some neighbors. We were playing in the front yard of the house, which at that time when I was a kid, this looked like a really huge front yard to me, where later on I found out it was just generally very small, maybe like less than 10 square meters. But yeah, I remember playing football. I remember this big garden full of greens and these beanstalks and stuff. I mean, it was cool. My childhood was early childhood was quite fun. I remember having pneumonia. My father had to get me. He was really not happy having to leave work early and stuff. So it was kind of a weird experience. I felt sick, but he was angry and upset, and I felt guilty for some reason that I'm sick. Stuff like that. But one of these memories from the early childhood that really stuck with me is the first one, let's say, from the childhood, was when this girl that I kind of had a crush on pushed me into the cold water in the middle of the winter. So it was kind of like shocking, how can somebody you like so much do these things to you? So yeah, that seems like has become a pattern in my life later on. The first like really stuck memory is unfortunately the one when I was 3 years old and my father climbed onto my bed. And as far as I know, at least it didn't hurt. Whatever he was doing wasn't painful. And that's how I can put it. It's not difficult for me to talk about it anymore. I've been even on the public TV with my story and stuff, so I don't have problems sharing it. But I must admit, I might have some anger issues because of that stuff. I don't generally like this kind of population of humanity. Not that I would necessarily want to harm them all. Not all of them are really aware of what they're doing and really guilty for these issues that they have. Like I will say all the sociopaths and psychopaths and even the most broken and violent people are still just so broken that even love cannot really help them or whatever. There's just generally no way of helping these people, and all I can say is, I don't know, whatever. If you want to say God forgive them, that's the best way to approach it, But there are some people who are also just intentionally mean to children and very vicious. And these are the kind of people I become rather, where my dark side shows up. Having said that, my father was just not a child abuser, but as in sexual abuse, but also really violent. He beat me a lot. I don't remember him beating my mom. I know clearly he only smacked her once and she was the one that hit him first. So this was quite interesting. He didn't have this male aggression thing, which I kind of developed later, I saw. But yeah, he was just super broken. Super fucking broken. Hey, there you go, the bomb, sorry. Yeah, so, and my mom, that was also the difficult part for me to chew up on. What can I say? Like a person that just doesn't have the power and the ability to accept things for what they are. She really played a huge victim role for herself. Anytime anything went wrong and you wanted to tell her how to just get out of this trouble and this difficult life, she would start crying and feeling sorry for herself and, what happened to her in the childhood, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. I mean, still a lot more to that, but never mind. It was, for me, the best way to put it was I lacked that safety, security, and love as a child from the very start. And I wish that was all when it comes to childhood, that it was like, that this was the only, problem and trauma that I had. I was in this school, primary school, where I think there was almost around 1,000 students. And then the Yugoslavian war also broke out. It started with our country, but it was only 10 days. So, yeah, I know there were some victims, there was some violence, but there was nothing close and compared to what happened to the rest of Yugoslavians. And it was, wow, just brutal. But the place where I lived, it was roughly 6,500 residents in a very, very densely populated area. So kind of like, you wouldn't call it a slum or a ghetto, but at that time it felt a bit like a ghetto. And you had all these Yugoslavian nationalities and even the small percentage of some other nationalities and the Romas and stuff like that. So there was a huge mix and a melting kettle pot of everything. And when the war broke out, it was insane, because over a night, like from this socialist solidarity where everybody lives together as a one big family, everybody's happy, everybody loves each other, everybody helps each other, we suddenly all became enemies. And it was, wow. I mean, it's like living in the middle of the war, but instead of the bombs, we're just dropping fists and knives and occasionally some guns and I don't know. And then you imagine when people are already so distracted with their own national issues, religious issues, philosophical issues, indoctrination, all this hate and shit that he had. You would think that you wouldn't be stuck, you wouldn't stick out so much, that you would kind of blend in with all these people that are already messed up so much. Nope. Somehow my father managed to drag a lot of attention to himself. He was paranoid, psychotic, but also in a sense, I understand. Also, he was just alone. He had this massive talent of really being able to kind of, let's say, predict the future. He had access to some weird information. He had access to many things. He was really smart. He was very intuitive, like I am. I got this from him for sure. This intuition is genetic. Yeah, it was hard for him. I know this because of recent experience. It was hard for him because he really had no one that could try to understand him and talk to him, or at least that he would talk to people. He actually tried to, in a way of really strange way. He would write on the these big advertising signs. He would write stuff that was either about politics and stuff, but basically spilling his own thoughts, which were rather crazy, but some of it made some sense later on in the future. So yeah, poor guy. He wasn't really able to. He wanted to basically kind of try and help and save the world, but really failed. Failed to basically first try and fix himself, and he even when they tried to send him to get help, they just didn't figure out the right way what to do. So yeah. Yeah, with my father being like that, I obviously was the one person that really stuck out in the school. So when I reflect back, as much as I can see a lot of really bad stories, I know people commit suicides, people do a lot of people go through a lot of bad things. But in terms of the quantity of how many people bullied me, how many teachers ignored these facts, how the school psychologists didn't do, I don't know, at least what I believe was the right thing to do, like call these students and their parents and try to clarify things and figure out why they are the ones that, just hate the poorest and the strangest child in the neighborhood. Apparently what one of my classmates later on in my life when we met again told me that even though I've considered myself quite weak and scared all the time and not really able or willing to stand up for myself, I was still apparently quite smart, and not that I wouldn't keep my mouth shut, but I knew how to stand up for myself in a sense that I said the truth. I said the things that were true, and yeah, people just didn't like it, and they beat the hell out of me a lot, very often. And they bullied other kids as well, but I was just bullied more than others. More brutally, more often, and more people got involved. And maybe also the saddest part was like seeing so many of those other kids and adults just standing by doing nothing really. That probably hurt them more. And I also know later when we had like this reunion from the classmates, the ones that didn't do nothing were actually hurt the most. They had emotional trauma because of it. Like quite a few of them that trusted me with it. They cried, they broke down. It was hard for me to actually watch that. I mean, by the end of the day, I only got beaten, but they suffered from it. So yeah, not really happy about that, to be honest. And I must say to all of you people, like the ones that you bullied me and the ones that you didn't do anything, like I get it. Like you didn't have the better knowledge. Like you didn't know what better options you had. So shit happens. All is forgiven. As much as it's hard, yeah, sometimes pain still comes up and all of this shit. What we call that is called PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. Mine is actually so sky high as if I was going through a couple of wars and came back, so shit. Yeah, what can I say, guys, ladies? We all make mistakes. Even I did. Luckily, I never became a bully myself, but yeah, I've got issues with my PTSD. I've got some issues with my anger and aggression, but at least I'm doing my best to stay aware of it and try to resolve. I must say that I've even tried before to get help and stuff, but it just didn't work out. So it was, a lot of people are a little bit too boxed into their books and primitive practices. So it didn't help. It helped me more on what I could find for myself so far. Luckily, I do have now. There's a cool guy, a cool therapist. He's able to articulate what I want to say a lot better than me. So yeah, I do trust him as much as I can. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, the amount of freaking violence and brutality, all the way up until my age of 13, was huge. And then there was this psychological pressure as well, from the father and the mother, and their arguments, their fights. He would very often threaten to kill us all and then kill himself because of his paranoias and shit. So yeah, man, what can I say? The more I think about it, the more I just keep thinking how much I'm still forgetting to say, how much I don't know how to say it and where to put it chronologically or just where to find the right place. So it's probably not going to be the only video I'm doing about all this or speaking. Probably I'm going to repeat some of the stuff very often, but it is what it is. I hope my battery is going to last long enough for this video at least. So yeah, when I was 13, we had already about a year of constant letters about eviction. So they weren't paying for electricity, they weren't paying for this, so we often stayed in the dark. I often washed my sister's diapers, which were cotton diapers, by hand, this kind of stuff. I remember them sending me with this kind of food vouchers. So you got like some sort of a piece of paper where it said a certain amount of money which you could take to the shop and get food for that stuff. They even convinced the shop owners to still give them cigarettes on behalf of that, even though that was illegal. But yeah, they managed even that kind of stuff. They would keep sending me to get these coupons. It was about, 7 kilometers away with a bicycle. So using me basically for their own purpose. I guess both of my parents were also quite narcissistic to a certain extent. I mean, if you keep sending your child to beg for sugar, oil, stuff like that with your neighbors, and I don't know, I just felt super embarrassed all the time. So I guess that's kind of what it is. That's child abuse. Screw it. That's how it is. So yeah, all these things. That was all the way up to 13, and then they moved us, me, my mom, and two younger sisters. They moved us to, of course, I mentioned diapers. So by that time, I already had two sisters. One of them 7 years younger, and the other one is 13 years younger than me. I took care a lot about both of them, so I learned very early how to take care of children, babies, and stuff like that. Like the technical stuff, at least. Of course, the rest, I can't say I did many good things. I mean, as a broken child as I was, I also had some of my bad reactions later when my sister got bigger and broke some of my stuff. Yes, I was a bit violent. I was wrong. But yeah, we'll learn. So when we were 13, we moved to the safe house, and my father was basically left homeless on the streets. And he just never picked himself up from there. What can I say? When I was 13, I figured now suddenly I'm kind of like, let's say, the man of the house. I tried to figure out on my own how we're gonna live, what we're gonna do, because technically we had 1 year in that safe house, and then we were supposed to move to our own flat, of course, for my mom to find work, us to become independent, and so and so. Most of the women actually, majority of women passing through that house were able to achieve that within 6 to 12 months. Must say that the social housing situation in Slovenia wasn't always so problematic back then, and depending on what kind of social worker you got, maybe you got your case resolved faster. So most of the people got out, let's say, within at least 2 years. But we got stuck in there for 4 years. On the 4th year, I started to go to work. So I finished my primary school. And during the summer, I started to go to work to save up some money, because I understood that this is going to be really, they were even telling us, you now really have to go, you have to do something else. The place was reorganizing, so I had to earn some money, and I remember earning enough that I could pay for a year in advance for a small 1-bedroom flat, which was kind of owned by the National Army, and then it was illegally sublet to us by the officer who had it. For a small rent, and this was about 17 kilometers away from the city where we lived at the time. So yeah, that was the kind of like the first major change in my life. So one of the first changes was obviously the most noticeable, the personal freedom that I had, in terms of I didn't have this fear of getting beaten for whatever I'm gonna do, whether I'm gonna play wrong. I kind of liked playing with fire sometimes, but in a safe manner. We had a concrete balcony, so it was very safe to play with some matches and stuff, nothing more serious. But my father would react to that extremely violently. So yeah, I lost fear of that, and I'm gonna be beaten. At that time, even though I said I never stood up to my bullies, once it happened, but then I paid a huge price for that. So I started training karate before we moved, and then when we moved, I found this really cool kickboxing club. So immediately when I was 13, I started kickboxing, and I had this huge adrenaline addiction. I just wanted to go fast, so whenever I could find, and there was loads of very, very steep downhill roads and lanes in this place. It's kind of like San Francisco with loads of hills and roads, so I could reach speeds of like 70 kilometers per hour with just a normal shitty bicycle. And I was dashing or through the woods and stuff, going crazy whenever I could. I found this small place where they had an 8-foot pool table. Within a short time, I was beating the old hustlers in pool. So, kind of loved the life there. It was messy, it was hectic, but it was free. I felt like a kid. It was good. Even a couple of school bullies. And there's a very nice raven here. I love ravens, they're smart. So as I was the new kid in there with a different accent, because Slovenia has loads of dialects and accents, I got picked on a bit, but I did manage to respond differently that time. So because the kids weren't really brutal, they were just kind of joking about it. I also once a little bit more assertively showed them what I can do, even though I never wanted to fight, by the way. I never liked fighting in any kind of way. I don't like shouting, arguing, fist fights or whatever. And if it has to be, I do like it more in the ring, where you can at least control how much you're going to get hurt to a certain extent. Or if you do it like I did on the competitions where you have light contact, you're not allowed to knock out someone, but you touch their face for a point. That's cool. That's cool for me. So yeah, I showed them a little bit of speed and power I have. They got scared enough and they left me alone. So that was the one school I never got bullied. Or later in the high school also not. So yeah, let's say that was the first part of freedom. Less fear, less pain. In that kind of sense. Well, there was always this difficult life, lack of love at home, lack of, I was really angry at my mom because she was an absent person. Very absent, very apathetic. I was angry a lot. So by the age of 16, I fell in love with this girl. It was amazing. I mean, I was a complete numpty, but yeah, everything was amazing. It was a great relationship. But she was one of those chicks. Went to summer, and she would come back telling me she kissed a guy. If I did anything like that, I'm pretty sure I'd get smacked like hard, or at least she would probably be very angry, because same results were showing in, let's say, if I was 15 minutes late to our appointment, well, then we didn't have the mobile phones and stuff, she would pretty much disappear already. Whereas she could be 2 hours late, and I was there still smiling. Yeah, I'll admit. And you will see later on in my life, I was a complete idiot when it comes to women. And I'm sorry, ladies, it's like I do respect you, but some of you can be really, or quite a lot of you can be really, really messed up. I'm sorry. So, yeah, we've been together for a year and a half. In the meantime, I dropped out of high school. It was a bit of punk rock, wine, some weed. And generally I discovered things about myself and stuff. I started to understand that, as much as I was very naive about the world and stuff, I did listen to a lot of punk music, read the magazines, anarchist books and stuff, and then I started to understand that the world is really not so all pretty and magical as it tends to be on the TV and the books. And you know, when in school they teach you that you're gonna just have to work hard, study hard, and you're gonna have everything you need. But my knowledge at that point was like, oh yeah, the bankers are greedy and they want to run the world, basically. That was how far it went. But still, because of that, I kind of, and yeah, my character as well, you know, a bit of rebellious, smart, and very adventurous. The teachers couldn't really convince me that, you know, staying in the school would be a good thing, so I dropped out. And I was with this girlfriend and stuff. In the meantime, I discovered some punk rockers from the city where I was born. And I went there for a few weeks, and kind of, because knowing that this girlfriend would be not so happy about me deciding to stay for a bit longer, I made up this stupid story that I got into trouble with the police and I'm gonna have to stay a bit longer. Which, yeah, obviously, it was stupid, I agree. I was a 16-year-old kid, she was 17, she got worried, she was really stressed. And she got very angry that I lied. So we broke up. And yeah, I agree. It was just wrong. But at the end of the day, reflecting back on it, she was quite possessive and jealous. Jealous. She was doing her own thing with other guys, but yeah, I was really like, let's say, a bit controlled by her. So we break up, and given that I was really stressed and tired and burnt out with my mom, I mean, because it was really difficult, everything, communicating, living with her in this small flat, 2 younger sisters, one of them is going into puberty, and she's a special needs kid. I mean, it was all just a freaking mess. So obviously, what option did I have? Yeah, squat in a place that I know and I enjoy, the capital city. It's fun, it's big. Let's go. You know, it was... okay, I can't crawl across. So it was just basically one of the best places I could go, because, you know, you have a place to sleep. There's loads of people, music, fun. We went to a lot of punk rock concerts and stuff. So it was really cool. That was also like, I don't know, quite an interesting era of my life. It was loads of skinheads, Nazi skinheads. They were attacking our place. There was loads of other kind of groups as well. A few groups of people that were also not happy with our presence in the neighborhood and stuff. Then, yeah, obviously we had trouble with the police just because of where we lived and how we lived. The cops weren't really nice to us, as much as we didn't really do any bad things. There was not any, let's say, crime involved or stuff like that. We were a bit of hooligans. Well, some of us more than others. Personally, I wasn't such a bad boy, but sometimes I got a bad idea, and then the next day the other guys would try to mimic and repeat the same idea, and they got caught by the cops. At least I was careful enough to do something stupid once and then not get caught. punk life. What can I say? But yeah, I think there's a good place where I can sit. So it was crazy, it was wild. I loved it, to be honest. But when it comes to this group of people, this was again another kind of disappointment in life. You know, they want to be anarchists, they want to be socialists, they want to be some kind of humanist and stuff. But I remember we almost had a fight because he was beating his girlfriend, for example. You know, basically what I'm saying, people have issues. And if they knew how to address those first, they would probably be better at their own idealisms, including myself. I'm not excluding myself and my own story and my mistakes from here, from this whole big picture. So yeah, man, this was also loads of people from all over the world were coming to that place, loads of things to learn, loads of stories, all of that stuff. At the same time, it was kind of my first time when I started to change a little bit in terms of thinking more about the world in a different way and existence and life. I had this schoolmate from the high school, the one that I dropped out of, and he was diagnosed with bone cancer. So he spent his last few years of living in the oncological hospital in this capital city. So I came to see him a lot, and I brought him weed because it really helped him after the chemotherapy. And even the doctors, this stuff was really illegal there, and still is. Brought him weed to help him with his chemotherapy and stuff. He felt a lot better, of course, afterwards. So we spent there sitting and talking, and he would tell me about these amazing experiences he has because of... This guy changed, like ultimately changed, from a completely materialistic and greedy and egoistic guy to someone who was just utterly generous, loving and caring afterwards, and just a completely different person. I mean, the transformation was just incredible. And he would be telling me about his transcendental travels and lucid dreaming and stuff, and the experiences he had, the entities and spirits he met and stuff. I must be honest, I'm still taking a lot of that as more like a, you know, stories that we built through our subconscious and exploring in our subconscious mind and stuff. So I'm not denying the spiritual world, but I'm trying to be still a bit more pragmatic about all of this. Well, trying, you know, I have different experiences. I don't necessarily, I haven't done transcendental traveling and stuff, but I do know what's lucid dreaming and all this kind of stuff. I've experienced it, I've done it myself, more or less, not because I wanted, but when it happened. So I know that things like that exist. It's just like maybe I'm not so religious about how I explain these things to myself. Let's put it that way. But yeah, he would introduce me to something different to explore, something different to think about, and that's when it kind of started for me to see a little bit different perception and perspective about myself, about other people, about my relationships with the father, the mother, all this kind of stuff, the sisters. And more importantly, I started to think a lot more about our life, like death. So just the cause and effect and all this kind of stuff, you know, became more, let's say, observant. It changed me. Hanging out with him, it changed me, definitely. In a sense that it made me start to pay more attention to my surroundings and myself internally. So that's when I think part of it was also this talent in childhood and everything I've been through, that I was looking for the good things and being happy and all this kind of stuff. That was just natural with me. So I think it wasn't just him, but he was a good reminder, I think. And he opened a couple of keys, well, gave me a couple of keys to open a few doors into a good insight into myself to begin with. Bless you, Rock. You are one of the greatest guys, I remember. So yeah, that was, I was 17. Violence, there was lots at that time because of all these skinheads and stuff. I even got almost killed. It was a very funny, this is quite a funny story, so I'm just gonna try to keep this short. In the same high school, so when I was on the streets, I did manage to get a job and go to high school. So I was in the high school and working. So I was definitely not a lazy guy. I figured very quickly that begging for money on the streets was not gonna work because everybody thought that we were junkies and gonna use it for dope. And honestly, yeah, maybe for a bottle of wine and maybe a bit of weed, but I would still buy a sandwich when I wanted to buy a sandwich, to be honest. So yeah, it was hard. So I just went to work. And yeah, I got, I had really great support when I wanted to go back to school. I had great support from a couple of individual social workers that knew me from my childhood and stuff, and I reached out back to them when I came back to this capital city, and they helped me out a lot. Really, they risked their jobs, they risk a lot to help me, so I could get back to school. Well, there were loads of problems, like because I was homeless, I couldn't get my ID, I couldn't get my health insurance, I couldn't register at any address because I didn't have none. So bureaucratically, this was just a huge mess, and it was the best resolved at the time being, so that the psychologist on the high school, so this professional would register me at her house, and they gave me a condition to see her once a week and all this kind of stuff. I mean, even though my behavior was great, my grades were great and stuff, but yeah, it was a challenging school and challenging life to deal with, so I couldn't really do best. Given that, I must say, in primary school, with all this trouble and stuff, my grades were great. So like, I do have a lot of talents and love to learn, and I love to do good stuff. So yeah, the skinheads almost killed me. So these three skinheads were attending the same high school at that time as I was, and they never actually dared to even speak to me. But there was this guy. He was a younger brother of the older one who once got involved into one massive fight where he got hurt, not too much, just a concussion. But skinheads being skinheads, they want revenge and all this kind of stuff and blood. So this younger brother organized an attack with these three guys on me. It was brutal. The skateboard on top of my neck. I got kicked in my back so hard that I had a rupture on the diaphragm that separates the lungs from the internal organs. So here, the whole thing felt 6 months like having a huge knife stuck in between your ribs, but there's nothing to show on the x-rays and there's nothing you can do about it. It takes a lot of time to heal, very long, and it hurts like hell. 2 years later, I met this guy and I didn't beat him. I went to drink with him, and the only thing I promised to him, it's like, if you're gonna hurt someone else, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna cut both of your balls. That's what I said to him. Did I mean it or not? Yeah, I guess I did, but depends. The best part of this story and why I'm telling it is because later on, I was aware and I got informed he hurt a couple of people, and he also hurt my friend. He cut him on the neck with a broken bottle, missed the artery for a couple of millimeters, thanks God. But this guy did later on put a 16-year-old boy on a wheelchair. And that's when I got pissed off and I said, okay, maybe it's time to actually execute the punishment that I said, but I did not lay my hands on him ever. What really transpired was that he was diagnosed with a testicular cancer and he lost both of his little marbles. So I guess I kind of started to be really surprised with, be careful what you wish for, and there might be a karma and stuff like that. I mean, I'm still skeptic. I'm always a bit of a skeptic, but I must say there is something. He wasn't the only one who messed with me and others and got that level of punishment that I'm aware of. It was, weird. So yeah, I spent a year and a half a year out of that pretty much laying in my bed in that immense pain. I think that shit left a lot of weird trauma on myself, or at least, let's say, a loss of memory for that time, because I don't remember much of that time, what we were doing, other than my roommate. He smoked a ton of weed. It helped me that he was there because he would roll that, and it helped me to manage the pain and all the stress related with it. But yeah, just want to say, I could keep talking and talking for days, how much of shit I had and how much of that stuff. And because of the story that I had, I coincidentally got involved into some sort of event organized by UNICEF. It was a 10th anniversary of Slovenia signing the Convention of Children's Rights. That was one of most heavily memorable events in my life. A friend of mine was supposed to go there and talk about his life story, which was quite similar to mine. We both lived in the same squat. And they invited him, but he called me. He had some trouble. He said, look, you're talented with speaking. I hope he was right. You're talented with speaking. Can you please go and speak? You know, it's about... He didn't even tell me what it was really about. He just said the time and the location, and that was it. I literally had to go straight after the job. And that job that I was working at that time, it was one of those summer jobs, because obviously you go to high school, you can only work part-time. So I was cleaning these construction yard machines with crude oil and hard tools and stuff. So there's loads of dust. It stinks a lot and you sweat a lot. And also I had this big long mohawk, longer than the hair right now. And it was just a mohawk, like this very greasy hair, dirty black fingers and stuff. I mean, it was terrible. And they put me in it was like a circular auditorium with obviously these desks in the front and like where the speaking stage. And the auditorium, I think I had more than a few levels of seats behind me. And yeah, you had this Minister of Social and School and Family Affairs, and you had the Slovenian President and Vice President of the UNICEF. Then you had the Vice President, International Vice President of the UNICEF speaking, if I remember correctly. And, you know, politicians and stuff like that. And they were all talking like each at least 30 minutes, some 1 hour or more. It was a lot of talk about the programs and what they did and social welfare and all this kind of stuff, what they did for kids and how they're improving the situations about the children's rights and abuse and family abuse and stuff. Of course, most of it was just, you know, PR stunts and show, which maybe solves a couple of problems, but on the broader scale, there were still a lot of issues everywhere. And yeah, they kept, in the meantime, I've been told a few times that I'm very important there in terms of like, I need to share my life story and it's going to be very interesting and stuff. And I was thinking like, wow, that's interesting. I mean, finally, I'm going to get someone else than my friends to listen to this. And maybe if it's going to help and change something, that would be great. So I was looking forward to this, of course, and I was thinking, yeah, maybe 15 minutes, if these people speak so much, I'm gonna get 15 minutes, that would be awesome. This girl runs to me at some point and whispers to my ear, we're gonna be ready for your story in a few minutes. I hope, but we kind of ran out of time, so will 3 minutes be enough for you to tell us your life story? I still can't describe the emotions and the feelings I felt like in an instant. Such a explosion of everything. I mean, it was dark. It made me feel very, very nauseous. So yeah, I said, yeah, fine, give me the 3 minutes, I guess. In the meantime, before this happened, I heard also some whispers and rumors about my presence and my smell and what am I doing here? What's this guy doing there? He's half asleep. I was the whole time I was listening like this, very fed up with all their bullshit and stuff, just waiting for my turn. But I did pay attention. I finally got up. And yeah, I tried to tell them like in a minute and a half what I'm telling you here for like now 45 minutes. Especially about my childhood, basically. More details about my childhood and the abuse and the lack of efficiency from the school services, the social services, the system and all this stuff. Because some of them just had tight hands. They wanted to help, but they couldn't do shit because we had no laws to help. So I tried to use a minute and a half or so to explain my life. And then I said, look, you've heard really just the surface of my story. Now I'm here standing in front of you as a living proof And please tell me, with all these hours and a decade of that you celebrated, of all the good work that you've done, and I congratulate you, some of the stuff was really good, but can you please all explain, what did all of this help, and all of the statistics and numbers and everything, and your research and your PhDs and everything you've done in your life, what did any of this help? If I haven't heard any one of you here today mentioning that there is at least one single homeless, underage kid in Slovenia. And I can tell you there's thousands. I'm just one of them. There's 20 of us living in that house over there. And we know a lot more about a lot more stories, and we just can't do anything about it. We can't help. What are you going to do about it? When are you going to come and ask us how the street looks like, and how wide it is, and how difficult it is to walk? Then I sat down in my chair. The silence in the room became deafening. It was like you could hear the dead people fart, and the mouse running in the room. And a minute later, this humongous applause. I must say that the more they were excited about me and my performance, the more I wanted to throw up. Soon after they had the closing speech, like I said, because of this emotional distress and stuff, for me it was just like, I just remember feeling sick and just wanting to get out of that place as soon as I could. And then it was kind of finished, and I just wanted to run upstairs and go away from there. And yeah, I got kind of stopped and blocked by a bunch of journalists. They all wanted to talk to me. Newspapers, TV, radio. So for about 2 years, that was my life. All over the media. I remember even there was another project from UNICEF Albania. They came to Slovenia filming some short documentary stuff. And they came to us and to me. They filmed that stuff. And we came with that film and some presentations and some solutions. We came to the president of Slovenia at that time, Milan Kučan. It was quite interesting. Everybody, even my girlfriend at the time, who was the daughter of this woman who worked in the national TV, everybody came dressed fancy, but I came, well, dressed fancy. I was looking quite nice, like not dirty and stuff, but I had this black jacket with the red inside, you know, the anarchist flag, and the belt here. I had the bulldogs. It was really good. This guy was like he was one of the shortest presidents we've ever had. And he would shake hands, be very like protocolar with everyone, like it's just a standard procedure. But he would look me up and down and get stuck in that belt, and then look me back in the eyes and smile. You could see that I knew what I was doing already back then. That I knew how to, you know, stand out, provoke a little bit, and draw the right type of attention. Yeah, and I also understood that he really enjoyed listening to me as well. It was great. But as a consequence of doing all that, the shit I was saying on the TV, some of it was live, it was heavy because, you know, I said the police was corrupt, violent. They were doing a lot of illegal stuff when it comes to us, like beating, coercion, all sorts of things. I poked into the hornet's nest. It was terrible. When I brought up the stories, let's say how a grandpa who was sexually abusing his daughter for 7 years got only one and a half year of house arrest, but his granddaughter had a freaking ruined life forever because of him. How we're just an atrocious country when it comes to all that. Yeah, believe me, that country is a freaking paradise for the pedo bears. It was terrible. I got chased by the cops. They were literally screaming my last name on every corner of the street, trying to find something, of course, some weed, whatever. You know, my lifestyle was not acceptable for these peasants. I was known in many ways. Not for the bad things, because I didn't do any bad things. Like, I was not an idiot. Come on, never. But yeah. Even the people who would be like, oh yeah, dude, I saw you on TV, you were so cool, I like you so much. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Did you listen to what I said? Oh shit, sorry, I don't remember that. Sorry, dude, but go F yourself. I really didn't like the popularity. I mean, it was kind of fun for 5 minutes, to be honest. You get some, you know, you get free drinks, you get loads of attention and stuff, but none of it meant shit because people just didn't remember what you were saying. it just never really got to them. It was like, oh yeah, it was really cool to know you. Can I touch you? One thing I did like though, I did get to talk to a lot of experts, like doctors of psychology, doctors of sociology, either with them or with them on the national TV, or I even came to the universities and spoke there in front of the students and stuff. And they were just generally impressed with my ability and insights into the stuff, into the society, and problem-solving skills, basically, when it comes to all that, or at least the huge amount of ideas I've always had in my mind. I must say, I've always got some amazing ideas, but I don't have the money and the teams and the stuff to actually make them real. This world is not so easy to be successful as people think. And I was successful, just not this kind of way. And I'll come to that, those stupid mistakes and everything I've done. So yeah, here we go. I mean, that was obviously the one part where I could really, really become, let's say, influential, very famous and successful in Slovenia in doing that. You know, being an activist for human rights and childhood rights and stuff. And I was gonna do it because I want to help people. I want to save the world, you know. And that is still my mission, to be honest. I want to help the kids. That's why I'm sharing this video, because especially I hope there's going to be a lot of young guys hopefully learning some lessons from, you know, my relationships and my mistakes I made. So they're not going to tread the same mistakes and end up the same way I did. Losing everything because you love someone so much and you act stupid because of that. That's the final, ultimate part of this story and sharing it today. But, because yeah, I was successful and I lost it because of getting distracted and giving myself away, in a nutshell. So I could succeed then. I was even going to apply for some European funds to develop my own programs and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, but I must say the pressure from being a very public figure, you know, this is just 2 million residents. It's a small country. Everybody knows everybody already. Even if you're not on the TV, everybody knows you. But if you actually appear on the TV, shit just becomes a lot harder, in a sense that it gets so confusing, and you just get busy with, like, everybody wants to talk to you, but you don't get paid for that stuff. You don't get anything. Just you give them a lot of attention, but you don't get anything from it. And not even that's, like I said, not that satisfaction that it really taught people something, that it provided any kind of value to them. It was just, it was not fulfilling me and my needs and my purpose, basically. It was just taking a lot of my time, and it was stressful at some point. All that attention from the people and stuff, it wasn't nice. Trust me. I think I can imagine how it feels to be famous, and it's really not nice. You don't want to be rich and famous. You really don't. Because people will have these misconceptions about you, and they won't see you for who you are. They never will. Even those close to you, like your friends or maybe your parents, and like, it's very hard, especially if you're someone in my skin, highly intuitive, highly empathetic, with loads of issues from the childhood and stuff, which you're trying to, well, doing your best to address and fix and heal. Like, yeah, complex beings are not. I don't know. I think that all these great minds in the past sounded just crazy to a lot of people, and I get them. It was tough. And I stepped out. I literally just disappeared. After I was with this girlfriend, I mentioned before, from this TV, from this woman working at the national TV. I was with this girlfriend 3 years. But half of that year she would be cheating on me, and she was really lying about it and stuff. We had quite deep issues because of it. No, I wouldn't say, we didn't have really a fight. We did have one, like, kind of like, it almost became physical, but I managed to avoid her punches. She literally jumped on me, and I ducked, put my hand behind the back like this, flipped her around, put her on the feet, and I said, please stop trying to do this because it's just stupid. So we never really fought, indeed, but she would tell me all the truth only on the time when we finally broke up, and the details of that were just brutal. Like, it was mental. Like, some of the stuff was like, I had premonitions. I literally had premonitions of them having sex, so hard that some of it was properly visual, so it scared the hell out of me. Speaking of my intuition, one of the things that I will later in other videos as well talk about, It's more the other subjects, politics, society, so-called conspiracy theories and stuff. But I do have to say, my intuition, the part where it became a lot different, and there's a couple of friends that I hope they still remember that night and that evening, that I could use as my witnesses. And then there's a few others now from the recent period. I predicted the goddamn 9/11, 2001, but not in a way that I would know exactly what's going to happen and the date and all this kind of stuff, but quote for quote. I was sitting in the room full of people. They were drinking some wine. I was smoking a bit of weed and preparing for the German language test. So I wanted to be sober that day. I didn't do anything at all. No, and I don't do heavy drugs and stuff. I mean, I experimented occasionally, but I don't have issues with any of that. So, quote for quote, out of the blue, staring at that German book, something hits me like on the back of the head, and quote for quote, I said, guys, shut the hell up. I've got something to say. I don't know why I want to say it, but I have to say it. Look, I think something big is going to happen, so big that everybody in the world is going to know it. It's gonna, definitely everybody's going to know it, and it's ultimately going to change the way we live for the future. Something terrible is going to happen. I must warn you. I don't know why I feel so. It feels like I'm going to lose my mind, but I feel even more than just this event. I feel more. There's like terrible stuff like cyber AI control. I couldn't explain it. Some of the stuff was so freaking 2020. It was weird. And me being as a naive, stupid punk rocker as I was, not believing in God for sure, you can trust me on that one, or any of the weird shit like the ghosts and the paranormal. It was interesting to read about it, but it was just like an entertainment value, and like pretty much thinking that all these people must be, crazy. Trust me, guys, when I saw those two towers and what happened, knowing that I saw that this is some sort of like planned thing in advance, it scared the shit out of me. And not like, oh freaking hell, the conspiracies and shit, like there's these evil people doing some stuff. No, that I'm not scared about. I don't care. I know too much, but I'm not scared about them. I got scared of myself. So yeah, as of that moment on, of all the things I've been distracted with and stuff, I had the blessings of really learning a lot about intuition and myself, and I managed to master that part now. I really know how to use it well. I can read people. I can see a lot. But don't ask me to freaking predict your future, please, because that's not how it works. It's not like yes and no. I can't go into details. It's those people who are really good with intuition and let's say tiny bit of psychic, if you want to put that unpleasant connotation to it. They know what I'm talking about. There's people like, I mean, even the guy that I don't really like too much, to be honest, but David Icke was talking about this same kind of premonition in one of his interviews, and I was like, yeah, dude, this is exactly how it felt. This is exactly the same words. That's it, yeah? So I know I'm not the only one. There are people who feel stuff. There are people who can see a lot, but it's more like being able to piece together your conscious, subconscious, your conscious, and the super ego and all this kind of stuff together. Kind of unwillingly, but then later you learn more and you observe and find more about it. So put that behind. Yeah, this girl, we separated. So it was my first, let's say, with the first girlfriend, I didn't feel so bad about separating because she cheated on me. I didn't feel good about that relationship, and it was kind of like okay to go. And then this second one, we were together for 3 years, and yeah, I was already so deep into that, attached and dreaming about that, planning the life together, kids, stuff like that. We were a really good couple, like intellectually, spiritually, otherwise. But yeah, she was a bit of a wild woman. She wanted very different style of intimacy, let's put it that way. But I'm not gonna go into too many details. And yeah, this guy that she was with was much older than her, like about 12 to 13 years. So the whole thing was weird. He manipulated her heavy. This same guy I had premonitions about. And I was manipulated by another friend of this guy and our friend that wanted to be our friend. he would go even as far as jumping onto my girlfriend. Said I would never do this kind of stuff before. Of course, you always need to be careful what people are saying, because usually when they say something, they mean exactly the opposite. Unfortunately, it is so. So he jumped on her. They shagged. That's why she later actually finally came clean to me about everything, because she felt so guilty about this guy. He manipulated everything so far, so freaking hard, because he actually wanted to get to me, and he was trying. I know, like, I was curious. So if you're gonna tell me that your mouth works better than the female, show me. I've told you guys, I'm very honest, very straightforward, so be prepared. This is gonna be harsh. Anyway, yeah, that was my first proper heartbreak. That was tough, but it took me about 6 months to get through it. And moving on, so after this heartbreak, that was also one of the reasons why I disappeared out of the public media and the public lifestyle. Went to get my job, went to get to just work on full time and stuff, and try to go to the university. So I was studying first. I was kind of going for the computer science, but then later on switched to the telecommunications. Did attend for a year and a half, but I never finished. But never mind. I mean, later on, my career and work was so much more valuable in that sense. So yeah, I left that public life with this, because of this manipulation and weird stuff that was going on with his girlfriend and these guys, and it was just, spiritually and mentally all too much for me. I was too young. I needed a better mentor than this crazy sexual, perverted people, and crazy in other ways. I needed some better stuff, and I just never really found, even sometimes these healers and yoga teachers and stuff are, a lot of them were just charlatans, to be honest. It was hard to find the really genuine and good one. So I had this desire to had a wish to just live a normal life. Everything was so crazy with this premonition and everything going on. And then 9/11 actually happening in the meantime. You don't want to know how I felt when I saw that. And how scared I was, of course, in terms of the rest of the future, which I knew was very dark and bleak. It was going to be very dark and bleak, as we know now. I felt alone all these years. I felt alone. Now it's much easier to talk to anyone about this stuff. Yeah, I just wanted to hide, basically. Hide into a normal life and just figure out who I am. So, yeah, I did. I mean, I was still going to these punk rock concerts and stuff, but I mellowed down a bit. There was no more media life. There was this stuff. I just kind of disappeared. And I slowly drifted down, I would say, from this life where I had enough money, friends, loads of everything. I could go anywhere, VIP, whatever. Suddenly I was alone and forgotten again, and on the streets quite soon. I was working in this place. They gave me a job where I was working. There was one of them was kind of like a political party, so they had this youth program, and they gave me a part-time job 3 days in a week. They gave me a job to do like it was like let's say an IT administrator or something, or just like an assistant, basically, just working in the office, sending emails, doing easy shit. And they were really cool. And then the second job I had was being like not a legal really bouncer, just like, a member of the club, an internal member of the club who would keep in mind that the girls are feeling safe, that the stuff doesn't get stolen, and if we have any aggressive and violent people, and we can manage them ourselves, to try and bounce them out of the club and manage the situations, because this was basically a kind of half-legal squad stuff, cultural center, where we had no proper security. If you try to involve the police, it would usually turn out very bad for everyone and stuff like that. So, we try to self-organize and self-govern the things, and it was working quite well. It wasn't that bad. I mean, we didn't have really some major issues. There were some junkies, there were some bad situations, but, given how the nature of Yugoslavians and how violent culture we have, that was nothing out of the ordinary. It was just normal stuff, really. So I worked as a bouncer, yeah, for about 2 years, I think, and just hiding among the sheep, so to say. Um, at the time, I met this girl who later on became my first wife. Girl, she was 4 years older than me, and 4 centimeters taller. So here goes my self-confidence, so to speak. But she was amazing. I don't really give anything about the looks and stuff, or not much, to be honest. Okay. But she was amazing also, really good to talk to, a good friend. She did want to help me out as well, get me off the streets, and she did good. Look, I believe that in her own best ability, she loved me as best as she could. But yeah, her relationship communication side just did not work. We got married a few months after she got pregnant. So I've got a 15-year-old son with her. He's an amazing kid, really smart. He's pretty much one of my best buddies and mentors I can get in life, because he was such a little Buddha. He was born, and I just knew that this is gonna be the guy that's gonna teach me a lot, and it's very true. So yeah, we got married. We were altogether for almost 4 years, but 2 years after he was born, things just didn't go well. I think it was a little bit with her. Maybe with her depression, she did have some of the problems because she lost her dad when she was a teenager. She spoke about him a lot. She compared me to him a lot, which was not good, of course, not a healthy relationship. And yeah, we did have issues. It was the intimacy, all that kind of stuff. It was not. I mean, she couldn't. She kind of wasn't able to get really close to people, and I don't blame her. But when it came to a point that she said that she wanted to separate, because we did have some arguments, we did have some problems, and I'm definitely not an easy person to live with. I can be honest about it, and I have a lot of work to do on that. But yeah, when it came to a point, having a 2-year-old kid, and you want to, when it comes to relationships, I'm very loyal and dedicated, and as much as I make mistakes, I would do anything really for the person I love, and especially the child. Becoming a father really changed me. Before that, I was just living really modestly, month to month. I didn't care much, nihilistic as well. The world's gonna burn to shit, so who cares? And I didn't want to have children, to be honest. Not because I don't like the kids, but I was just too afraid how they're gonna live in this cruel, cold, sociopathic world. I just wasn't really sure that I'm doing the right thing, putting a child into this world, when she got pregnant. So it was a bit of a, as much as being a parent is a really, really cool thing, believe me guys, but it can be also very scary because of the future and all this kind of stuff. And, being as intuitive as I am didn't make it any easier, because I knew that there's a lot of trouble coming ahead, and there's not much I can do about it, or that we as a society, we can free ourselves right now and right today if we wanted to, but God, it would take every single one of you sheep to change and do something about it right now. Let's talk about this later. So yeah, becoming a father changed me. I became more ambitious. I just set my own goals. At that point, I started setting my own goals. I understood that I want to be successful. I want to be financially independent, free. This is legal here, by the way. So I want to be free and all this kind of stuff. And most of all, of course, I wanted to be a good father for my child. I wanted to make sure that I can provide, that they're going to be able to feed and live and all this kind of stuff. And just take care of things, of course. And yeah, I must say, as much as getting a job in Slovenia was really hard, I did. I was making good money. I was working hard. I was delivering. I was achieving. And every time I got fed up with one job, the next one I would pick, it would be better paid. It would be more challenging. It would be more to learn. So yeah, I was progressively and consistently growing with my career and everything. Whereas, my partner at the time, she was the one who started with loads of money, and then she later on got into trouble. So our roles kind of swapped. I was the one making more. She was the one staying at home. and doing stuff and taking care of the kid. And yeah, I know it's hard. Being a stay-at-home parent is hard. It feels, because I also had that role. I also stayed at home and stuff like that. And I took care of my sisters, so I know how it is when you're stuck and doing the same thing over and over again non-stop. I did feel bad for her in terms of whenever she suffered and stuff. But we came to this point. He was 2 years old. She wanted to separate. We had misunderstandings, and I said, "Look, that's not fair. It's not okay. It's not okay for the child. He needs both parents. He needs us, yeah. And I kind of need him as well, yeah. Look, really, I did. This kid was showing me so much love. It was like, you woman can go away. Just leave me with the kid. That's all I need, yeah." I was the one that said, let's go have couples therapy. In Slovenia you can have it for free. And yeah, she refused, on the basis of, because she knew how known I was, that the experts really respected me and my opinion. So yeah, a lot of them knew me, a lot of them were my friends, and her excuse was that because they're my friends, they are going to be biased. Which I told her that cannot happen, and I would not allow them. I want them to look into my issues and help me. Yeah, it's not just you. I have my own responsibilities. I have my own problems, and we both need to deal with our own issues and then with our issues together. Yeah, the answer was still no. So yeah, I accepted it. I must say, she even went as far as, in order to get, I don't know why, whether she thought that there's going to be any extra benefit for her, whatever. But in order to agree in the court for the alimonies and all this kind of stuff, which I would just say, yes, I don't care, just sign it. I'm going to pay whatever you want from me, try to pay more if I can. So, if I fail, I'm going to keep doing my best, guys, that's it. So she made up the story that we were living at her mom's, far away, and that I was the one that left. And she could make that up because we were registered at her mom's place due to the formalities and stuff. So yeah, I basically came to court and I said, Your Honor, I don't agree with anything that was said, and this is still written in the court documents. I don't agree with anything that was said here, but for the sake of getting this over and done with, and just focusing on what's important for me and the child, I just want you to say, let's close the case. Yes, I agree with the divorce. Let's move on, and tell me how much I'll have to keep paying for per month, and that was it. So that was the second time after being achieved and having good jobs and stuff, I got stuck, depressed. My life started falling apart again, and it was year 2010, sorry. It was 2010, and I got fed up with it. I figured I'm not going to be working in Slovenia anymore because it's not paying enough, it's not challenging enough, I'm not growing. And just generally, I wanted to do something else, and I wanted to provide better for myself and the kid and just create a better future. So I started looking for jobs. Given that with the companies I worked in Slovenia, I had some good recommendations and I could use them to get abroad. I started. And believe me, I did not imagine how challenging that was going to be. It lasted, I think, 6 months, and it was somewhere around after my birthday when I wrote an email. There was this role for a test engineer in UK. So I had a couple of interviews in Netherlands, and it didn't go well because I didn't have enough skills, the right skills for that. And then I saw this job in UK, which I knew I can do this. It was easy. It was just testing one single device, where I already was a very good system integrator on the national level when it comes to digital video broadcast systems. And I was teaching others and stuff. So yeah, I knew I could do this job, easy. 3 agencies were posting for the same job for about 3 or 4 months already. And I sent them all, the application for the same job at least 3 times already. And I never got a response. So I got quite tipped off. I sent an email putting all 3 of them in the BCC, saying something like, Dear gentlemen, or dear sir, or madam, I do understand that you're a very busy person, you get a ton of applications, And a lot of them come from abroad as well. And now I don't know what it takes to grab your attention and to understand and to read the CV that's attached to this letter, to this email. But I do understand this, that I am probably the only person who is still the best fit for the job you have been posting about for 3 months, and you still didn't get a candidate, which means you're more desperate than I am to get this job. And I would really appreciate if you take 15 minutes of your precious time to read my CV, and then please respond within next 3 working days. And if you don't, I'm never going to reach out to you again. I sent that email. No thoughts, no second thoughts. I sent it. And I think it was about an hour and a half later, the phone rang with a UK number. So yeah, I kind of smiled, this is going to be funny. And this guy called Tom White. Hi Tom, I hope you're watching this. I still remember you. And you still kind of owe me maybe another lunch. He presents himself and he says, "Hi Damir, I do really apologize, but you're right. I read your CV and I regret not having read it earlier." So the outcome of this conversation was that 3 weeks later I was burning the stuff that I didn't need and moving to UK. So they paid for my flights for the interview. I went there, it was great. And I got my first job in UK. Money was great, everything was great. I mean, really, it was just wow. My dream came true, basically. But 6 months later, I got sacked. Reasons? Being too arrogant. Working with British is freaking hard, especially if you're a newcomer from abroad and you don't understand the cultural nuances in the language. Just such as things as you don't come to work on Monday, and if somebody asks you, "How are you doing?" and you go, "I'm really good, how are you?" You don't do that in UK. Not too bad, or not bad, that's their national sport. Feeling miserable is a British national sport, and I know all the Brits are going to love this because they love jokes about themselves. That's one thing I did love about them. They do appreciate a good humor. Yeah, I didn't know how I stitched myself with being too happy at work, and the fact that I was really ambitious. So when anybody was asking me, "Where do you want to be?" and I'm like, "Yeah," they said in the next couple of years. I'm like, "Yeah, I want to be a system architect." I knew my skills, I knew my talents. So I just don't have filters, clearly. I'm too honest. So that they understood as arrogance, as in like there were people literally working there for like 15, 20 years and they would try to achieve that level in that career and they couldn't. So I got sacked. A week later, I got a job at a company where I had a few years ago, through Slovenian employer, I had a training on the encoding systems. And guess what? I was a system architect and a system integrator. So exactly what I wanted to do in that other company before. So that was the best. That was really great. So my life was falling apart and a week later it became just better. And that was really great. I traveled Denmark, I traveled to Africa, I traveled places around Europe. I worked with such great people in such amazing projects and stuff. The money wasn't that great, but it was fun. It was fun. The hotels were paid, the flights were paid, drinks were paid, food was paid. So yeah, the money that I earned was really just the money for myself. So in that sense, it was still really well paid. And God, I had so much fun. I really had so much fun. The best part was going to Namibia in Africa. I was working there on a project with the Chinese from Huawei and with a couple of Pakistani guys. They were great. I mean, it was so amazing. The food, the people, the adventures, all of it. It was so much fun. And then I also managed, our next project would be in Saudi Arabia, and I would almost have to kind of fly straight from Africa to Saudi Arabia. But the equipment got stuck in customs. So my boss was just emailing a few days before I was supposed to leave. He emailed, "Oh yeah, bad news, our project in Saudi Arabia got stuck. We were probably going to be delayed for at least a few more weeks." And I'm like, hold on, that sounds like a good news. So I called my boss and I said, "Look, dude, can I please have my flight ticket postponed? I'm going to pay for my accommodation. I'm going to do stuff for myself. Only the flight needs to be paid. I want to stay here for at least another 2 weeks or maybe 3. Take my vacation, basically." And he's like, sure, man, but it's just sand. It's only sand in Namibia. What are you gonna do there? I'm like, dude, you don't imagine how cool the sand is. Obviously, Namibia, it's desert, meeting Atlantic Ocean. The sunsets are mind-blowing. The wildlife is just wow. The stars, the night sky, whoa, crazy shit. Crazy stuff. This is so beautiful, it makes me cry. So I'm like, dude, you don't have a clue. You don't have a clue how much fun it is. And he's like, okay, I get it, but still, what are you gonna do when you don't have the time? I'm like, dude, I'm gonna skydive. And he's like, what? Just don't kill yourself. I'm like, yeah, I will try not to, but you know, if I do, I do. I don't care. I mean, yeah, I got hooked. I got hooked on skydiving, and honestly, since 2012 when I was there, I can't forget about Namibia. I really want to go back there, and I really want to get my skydiving license. I just couldn't finish it. So I screwed up that job. I came back to UK. The Saudi Arabia project was moving on a bit faster than we anticipated, so that's why I couldn't finish the skydiving license. And after, so I came back, and then what happened was I kind of screwed up the schedule. I booked the bus, I booked everything. I was supposed to go to Saudi Arabia, and what happened was that there was a mess with the timelines. The bus got late, everything was wrong, and I just did not arrive to the airport on time. The taxi was gonna be too late and all this stuff. So I basically called my boss and I said, look, a big screw up happened. I'm late for flight. I know you're not gonna like it and stuff, but can you please book me onto the very next flight? If I have to pay for myself out of my pocket, I will pay for it. I'm sorry. But because he just simply didn't believe that there was a screw up with the schedules from the bus company, that I also screwed up and got confused. So it was kind of two things together. I don't know what got to him, but he basically sacked me on spot. And that was it. My luck was a bit ruined, but never mind. With that CV and the resume I had at that point, finding a new job was really easy. So yeah, I had very quickly more than a few opportunities. I actually worked for Formula One management for 3 months. So I did go through the test period, but not further. Again, it was one of those jobs. Dreams come true. You're talking to Michael Schumacher. You have access to the paddocks. You have access to the VIP lodges. You have access to the garages. You have access to everywhere, and you're working within one of the best team of the highest trains and the best experts in the broadcast and the live sports broadcast industry ever. I mean, this is really one of the best teams I've ever met and worked with. It's really, really hard work, traveling around in that pace, back to back, to races and stuff. I did only 3 races and I was, guys, no, that would be too much. I admire those guys and I feel sorry for them, for the rousy and rude and an idiot that I was back there on the bus in going from Austin, Texas to the Houston airport. I'm sorry, guys. I understand it now. I understand how difficult it was. But yeah, what can I say? We all learn. We all make mistakes. The boss that had to fire me also said, what did you do, man? Why? I told you to keep your head down. And I'm like, sorry, I really didn't understand what the keeping the head down means. Basically, what also got me fired, that me and the colleague there went in Abu Dhabi, went to drink into a Moroccan restaurant. We went to drink there, whiskey and cigars. We were cracking some jokes. Next to our table, there was a couple of rich Arabs sitting to us. And we really had a good time. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, everything shuts down and closes. And we were like, as drunk as we already got, like, where's not something more to drink? Blah, blah, blah. We want to have fun. And this Arab guy goes, yeah, look, I've got 6 flats and one of them is nearby and I've got a Chinese servant and I've got everything there. I'm sorry, it sounds racist, but you know, I'm just portraying the situation as it was. I've got everything you want there, guys. Do you want to come and, you know, party at my place? We're going to chat, we're going to eat, we're going to drink, you know, just have a good time. You guys seem cool. I'm like, hell yeah, dude, let's go. I mean, where else are you going to go and talk to a rich Arab? And you were allowed and open to talk about all the taboo themes, everything, drugs, everything. I am not going to go out of the respect for this gentleman. And if we're going to talk about the corruptions of the society, we're going to talk on a broader level later on, different videos. This guy didn't enlighten me. I knew already too much at that point because of my lifestyle and the places I've been high up and so far. He didn't enlighten me, but he confirmed that this world is... Oh, guys, you don't want to know. It's corrupt. It's dirty. It's so perverted. Sometimes brutally, not funny enough. Not funny anymore. Loads of children, loads of innocent people, loads of sex slavery, loads of modern slavery in terms of work and stuff. You don't want to know, guys. You really don't want to know. It's terrible. Or if you do, you're probably going to stick with my channel, but I hope you have a goddamn strong stomach, because everything I speak is validated truth. It's not bullshit conspiracy theories. Screw that. But there is a lot of heavy shit around. So yeah, this guy spoke about everything. The only subject we couldn't talk about was when I asked him towards kind of like we were already going back to the hotel. He would drive us back to the hotel. And I was asking him, look, man, every time you meet with guys, you hug and you kiss on the cheeks, but why do you hate gay people so much? Because, you know, I'm not a homophobe. I'm really very open to everything. Just don't agree with the modern propaganda on that subject, but let's leave that for another time again. So I asked him that, and he said, my brother, we can discuss any subject, but this one. So I respectfully said, I expected that answer, my sir, and I respect you for that. Thank you very much. We left, went to the car. Believe it or not, this guy smashed his car. This was a Volkswagen Golf, the latest model at that time. Super pimped from the inside, super fast. He smashed it into a taxi in the middle of the crossroads that was just going left towards the hotel in Abu Dhabi. And I was like, shit, this is like, I'm already in the middle of the bloody movie. My life is like a movie for a while already. I'm traveling, I'm Formula One and stuff. You know, like living the dream, and then this happens. We smash into the taxi in the middle of Abu Dhabi. Now I'm gonna get screwed, I'm gonna get arrested, I'm gonna lose the bloody job. A guy just lowers the window, says something in Arabic to this taxi driver, so he obviously told him to follow us to the hotel, that he's gonna drop us off and they're gonna deal with his issue there. He does. He drops us off with this half-ripped car. Once I stepped out, I was like... It was really incredible. Like, this car was just, half of it was just stripped off. I mean, the doors and stuff, it was just a huge scratch and the dent all over the car. The taxi was even worse. The taxi driver was really pissed off. And this guy just, I kid you not, he takes a huge swab of $100 bills. That must have been probably something around $10,000 easily. Gives it to this taxi driver, and this guy just drives away. Does nothing. No police, no nothing. They both drive away. I get a business card from this Abu Dhabi director. Well, I'm not gonna say which exactly because of the situation I was just describing. It might put him in a position that he doesn't want to be in. So he worked for one of their oil companies. And he was one of the directors of specific department, and it was just insane. The sofa we sat on was about £1 million, £1.5 million worth, British pounds. I've never been with a guy richer than him. Never been in a better company when it comes to that, really. And I've seen loads of people, like homeless, rich, you name it. I've really got a plethora of stories and rich life. I mean, I'm not even touching the surface, and I'm talking here for a very long time already. So yeah, obviously some of the colleagues walking out of the hotel in the morning, preparing to go to the racetrack, 7:30 in the morning, saw that car, saw us coming out, not so sober. So I think that kind of got me sacked, to be honest. No regrets. No regrets whatsoever. It was a great experience. And I'm pretty sure that after a year I would have a burnout working there because it was so tough. Hot, hard, physical work. This wasn't working just behind the keyboard and telling others what to do, believe me. It was a lot harder. So after that, then I worked for this small-time satellite operator for a while, but they were really incompetent, and it was kind of like a private family-owned company broadcasting a lot of really crazy religious channels. is Islamic and Christian and all, like really like stuff like exorcism and shit like was going on. But you know, if it was at least real, then it would be good to watch. Crazy stuff, yeah, I tell you. So I worked for that kind of company, and then later I actually worked a year for Viacom, and that's how I got to move to Amsterdam. So this is where I'm trying to focus. Let's say I'm gonna try and focus and to wrap this up soon. Because that was a different time in my life. It's everything kind of from this being just generally easily finding jobs, successful, living a free life, and very wealthy and stuff. Coming to Amsterdam was a bit of a cultural shock. The British tend to be very social. It's easy to hang out with them, easy to make friends, easy to meet new people, easy to go out and do stuff. But here, it's different because you don't get to meet with people that live there. So you don't make these more longer lasting connections. With co-workers, it was like this, it's work, maybe a drink, and then friends, but the friends that you already have. Because most people here come and they hang out with people from the same nationalities and all this kind of stuff. And for me, it was more like, everything goes. So yeah, I started to feel a bit lonely and depressed. Also, the fact that the weed and all this stuff it's so easily accessible here didn't help. Alcohol, drugs. Yeah, you're in your 30s, going crazy. You're through your second puberty. Not everything I was doing was smart. But yeah, I met some people. We had good times. I was dating this girl who was from Ukraine. We had a good time as well together, but nothing serious. And through this girl, I met this Lithuanian girl. Beautiful. Most gorgeous woman I've ever seen in my life. I think I was really in love from the first moment I saw her. I break up with this Ukrainian, or we break up. Yeah, that's better to put it that way. And after that, there was something to do between the three of us as well. So I wanted to clarify this with this Lithuanian girl. And after that, we kind of started, becoming friends and seeing each other. I must say that one of the most impressive things about her was her ability to learn stuff, specifically the languages. She didn't speak much English, like maybe a few words and stuff. She understood quite well, but she didn't speak much. So we were able to communicate through this Translate app, not the Google Translate, but there was one better where you could actually even talk, and it would write text back in Russian, and she could talk in Russian, and then I would get a text back in English. And it was working quite well. And the main point is, like, she learned to speak quite fluently English within 3 months. So I was like, just by that, the fact that I'm attracted to personalities and intelligence more than the looks and their stories, the people's stories and stuff, I was just blown away. Not to mention that physically she was really the most beautifully intense person to physically be with. Like the touch, the hug, everything, the kiss. It was just wow. So I was hooked. I was immediately hooked. I was just freaking addicted to this feeling. And I guess that lack of love and attention from my childhood just extra contributed to immediately opening my heart completely to this girl. Like immediately. I trusted her too much about everything. My life, my weaknesses, some of the darkest mistakes that I've made, and I probably shouldn't have trusted about that. Like I said, there's one thing I will never speak again to anyone, and that's the one. It's like, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced other than having a child. And I know that she will watch this video and she will probably even leave her comments here. She's not gonna be happy. And I'm sorry about that. So, of all the violence and trauma and the crap I've been through, and the fun and the good things, this one meant the most. And it has left the biggest impact in terms of the trauma and in terms of the good stuff, really interesting stuff, like even as deep as telepathic talks almost. No, not almost. Telepathic talks. And intuition between us so deep. We could be miles apart and think exactly the same thoughts, have exactly the same feelings in the same moment. Not just by coincidence, but regularly. More than a few times a week, sometimes few times a day. Not just this when partners finish each other's sentences, but deeper than that. And this was all just very instant. Everything. And yeah, I had to move to a new flat. Money-wise, things weren't so great, but not bad either. It was really good, I could afford. So we moved into a new flat, and I said, look, I know that you're not making a lot of money, but I guess, I was paying at that time, I think altogether with the utility bills, it was around 1,400, 1,500 euros per month for that flat. So I said, if you can bring like 300, 400 euros per month, it's gonna be fine. She actually did for the first month. And I think there was about a half of that amount the next month. And then she couldn't. And I'm like, okay, look, don't worry about it. It's fine. I like you. I basically kept telling her every day that I love her. I am like that, when I genuinely like someone, it doesn't have to be that my emotions are completely committed yet and serious, but when I really love someone, I'm just going to tell them I love them. And that could be my friends or some stranger I just met on the street and they just really are cool. And if I feel that, brotherly love for someone, I'm going to tell you, look, I love you. Yeah, I love you a lot. So I do tell that to people. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to say that I was always the best, peaceful kind. No, by large, I'm a tough person. I criticize a lot. I see a lot of things that are bad around the world. As much as I'm an optimist and a positive person, and I see the good things in everything as well, I'm a bit yin and yang. There's everything inside of me, like the darkness, the light, and the beauty and the not so beauty stuff. But I've always believed that as long as you're aware of your problems and stuff, and you're making an effort to fix them and not control your emotions, just like rise above them and not let them control you, that eventually you can heal yourself. You can do stuff, lots of good stuff without necessarily some professional help, or specifically not necessarily having pills and stuff. Like, I don't know, on top of the PTSD, I'm also ADHD and I never took any medicine. Like, self-medication, it's good enough if you know what you're doing and you're responsible about yourself and your life, and you know what you need to do in terms of work, kids, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, but off the bat we had loads of misunderstanding about certain things. Let's say exactly about the smoking, experimenting with psychedelics, for example, or MDMA, because these things can be very therapeutic, I found out through my life, and they can also be very fun. So I did not, I'm not rejecting things. To be honest, I even I smoked heroin once, but I really didn't like it. So I was like, it was a good thing to experience, to know, yeah, that's not the kind of stuff I would like, and I wouldn't want it. So why? I like the beer, I like the weed. That's cool. I don't need more. Maybe occasional mushrooms, I do this really, maybe now through these past 3 months, I did it a little bit more to try and balance my emotional distress, but generally I did this like 3 times a year, so it's nothing I can say that I was obnoxious or stupid about it, not at all. But yeah, she would have loads of objections, loads of, prejudices, hate even. Proper hate for smokers and smoking. So I quickly started to realize, should be realizing, that, as much as she's a very kind, sweet person, she can be extremely loving, very gentle, like, give you so much attention, all this stuff, she can be a perfect woman. And I really believed that she was. And I believe strongly in her good side, and that with all the effort and self-healing, she would be a proper goddess. I really do. But yeah, we had conflicts from the start about smoking, about stuff. I had, after the Viacom, I had a job, or at that point I had a job where I was working from home. And she was like, what the fuck do you do? Sorry, again, bomb. What do you do? You're such a lazy guy. You don't do anything. You just sit behind the computer, you do a little bit there, and then that's it. You talk to a few people, and then you're on Facebook, and you do nothing, and you get paid. I'm like, okay, but that's good, right? I achieved something great in life. If I can work effectively 4 hours a day and make $5,000 per month for this, and the clients respect me and they're happy with what I do, what's wrong with it? There's no need to be so negative and be like this, I was trying to be nice at the beginning, but once this keeps repeating, you also start to swear, you start to be nasty, you start to behave in your own way. But the worst things that started to happen were we walked into this jazz club, and this guy starts giving her way too much attention, if you can get my drift, what I mean. We were on a date in a jazz club, and this guy is just drooling all over her and her tattoo and stuff, and he came there with two of his lady friends, completely oblivious to how much they came there from Canada to meet him and be with him. So he was like a complete dickhead. You can't say anything else. And I felt like, come on, man, like a real gentleman, don't do this kind of shit. But I didn't say anything. Like I said, I'm not very confrontational, at least not. I don't aggressively attack people. I don't even challenge them if I don't feel like, yeah, okay, maybe this is gonna stop, or it's just now, we're gonna leave this place later and that's it. We can forget about it. I feel uncomfortable, but I'm not gonna escalate the issue. But it was really, the Dutch people can be really obnoxious. The guys can be really like, oh, this is a free country, we can do whatever we want. Yeah, but dude, I'm on a date with this girl. Can you please leave our personal space alone? They don't understand this kind of language. They can be really rude. Sorry, Dutch people, truth. I'm not gonna spare you any. I've got a lot more to say about you guys. But yeah, okay. We actually then leave the place, nothing too bad. Everything goes away. A few weeks later, we go to the same jazz club, same kind of type of date. We both love jazz music. Same guy, coincidentally, and I'm saying specifically emphasizing coincidentally because the follow-up on this is very interesting. See, so he coincidentally appears in the same place at the same time. And I'm like, okay, this time, knowing already, predicting really well and feeling his intentions, I already decided this time I'm gonna take action before anything happens. So I asked him to actually come and join us and sit down at the table. Ask him what he wants to drink. He says beer. I grabbed 3 beers, put them on the table. And I'm like, look, buddy, the other time when we first met, I was quiet. I didn't say anything, but I must be honest, the way you behaved towards my lady and stuff, we had a date. It was really rude. It was just not okay. Like you were overreaching, you were too far. And if you would please, if you want to hang out with us here today, I'm fine with this. We can talk, I don't mind. But please, hands in your pocket, behave like a gentleman. I'm on a date here. Yeah? And he's like, oh, yeah, I get it. I'm really sorry. That wasn't nice, blah, blah, blah. I kid you not, it wasn't like 10 minutes later, some kind of tune pops up, which made me want to dance with her. This guy grabs her and takes her. There wasn't a dance floor. There was like it's a very narrow, small place. He starts dancing and it was very romantic. Not romantic, I mean, it was like he was all over her again. The same shit, drooling and stuff. And I'm not like, yeah, I'm jealous because I really like this girl. And I'm only dating with her for a few months and I'm actually paying for the flat where we live together and stuff. So, dude, I think I kind of deserve more attention than you. You're just grabbing her ass here. I went outside, lit up a cigarette, which obviously she hated. Lit up a cigarette, came back and I said, look, baby, basically it's like this. Either you stay with this guy or you come with me, but that's it. I'm going home. I don't like this. It's really not nice. I'm very uncomfortable. This guy's an idiot. Do you want to come with me? And she's like, well, something I don't know what to, like, it was just weird. And then this guy steps in and he goes like, but this is the free country, people can do whatever they want, she can decide for herself. And I'm like, dude, step away, don't get involved. I'm actually asking her what she wants to decide, what she wants to do for herself. Leave us alone, it's none of your business, go away. And he starts talking some shit, so he basically distracts me from her. I never got her answer what she wants to do, but he starts to be, obnoxious, verbally a bit aggressive and stuff, and defensive. Prince on a white horse. He's gonna save her life from this maniac and stuff. And I'm like, dude, look, I don't want to ruin everybody's evening around here. And I didn't mean this as an aggressive manner, as in we're gonna fight and stuff. I said, if you want to talk, let's step outside. Let's talk outside in front of the bar. Let's see what we have to discuss. And then if you want to come back, come back. She wants to come back with you, she can come. But I'm not gonna talk in front of here, everybody, because you're upsetting me. You're a complete idiot, and that's it. Yeah. This is not okay. And he kind of jumps out of his seat, goes up, and bam, forehead into his nose. I broke his nose. I go back out for the cigarette. Of course, I shocked everybody there. I felt like a shit. I thought even I was gonna, there was gonna be cops, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done for. Now I've done something I never wanted to do in my life. And somehow, yeah, she decides that, she leaves that guy behind and she goes home with me. And then the next day we're talking about it. I was obviously very upset. It wasn't like, with her as well, because of, it's not good. Like if something like that happens, guys, just walk away. That's my advice. Don't try to argue whatever or get into this kind of situation. Be smart, please. Just walk away from that kind of girl, and that's it. Never mind whether she did anything or not there. If she makes a decision to stay with such a guy, with such a pig, compared to you, if you know you have a better value, just please walk away. So that day she explains to me that, first of all, the fact that he was there wasn't even coincidental. So what happened the first time when we met with this guy, when he was interfering with us the first time, she gave him the number. I still don't understand why. But she gave him the number under like, yeah, but he knows about live music here in Amsterdam, blah, blah, blah. He will help me to get to some good events, we can go together. And I'm like, dude, I have a really good nose for all the good events. I always find the best stuff. That was not needed, that was not necessary, but do what you want. We're still fresh, quite. Yeah. But she also told me that the second time, it was definitely not coincidental, because basically what happened, when we decided to go to the jazz club, he happened to message her before we left our flat. And she said, oh yeah, come to the jazz club. I'm gonna be there. Not we. Not you, not me and her, but she said, I'm gonna be there. And she admitted later on that, because she had an argument with me that I'm an idiot, that I'm an aggressive person, that maybe I am, maybe it's right, maybe I overreacted. But I kind of felt defending myself, because the guy was much taller than me, just that. And he deserved it. The owners of the bar loved me, because they said he was often, or pretty much every time he visited that place, he was always pissing guys off, always harassing the women and stuff. And they complained about him a lot and stuff, but they couldn't do anything. So basically me breaking his nose also meant that he didn't appear in that place ever again. So they were really grateful. I don't know, maybe it was a bad act, but it kind of served a good purpose. And like I said, I don't agree with my actions. I really don't. I don't support violence. I don't think that was okay, but shit happens. So she was accusing me. She was making me feel guilty about the whole situation a lot. We had it was not screaming. It was just, disagreement. But then she later also admits, once she finally felt guilty about herself, about what she did, and she admits, yeah, maybe I did this because I wanted to test and see if you're really serious about me. And I'm like, dude, that's really messed up. Okay, I get it. You don't know me. We're for a short time. But it's messed up. You don't do that kind of shit to people. You don't play with their emotions. It's just bad. It's really bad. But the kind of empathetic and sympathetic guy I am, and I really love still love this woman, just I'm not gonna destroy myself anymore for her. I forgave her. And I also forgave her because she would have nowhere to go and stuff, and like a lot of things that all together, like it's just all of it. So let's move on. Yeah. Now, for her own sake and for her own emotional stability and stuff, so I won't go into too many details because I also promised her I won't. There were a few things in the meantime as well, which really were not good from her, like her actions and stuff. You know, I got like a pint of beer in my face for no reason. I didn't do anything like touch her or embarrass her and stuff, but I was the one embarrassed in a public place. That same place, then she, without a warning, was so confident about our, at that time, in her own opinion, open relationship, which was still not properly agreed in the rules and stuff. We were just debating it. She wanted an open relationship. I was not up for it. I had deeper feelings for her already. So she was trying to prove to this guy in Lithuania. We went there to visit her sister. She was trying to prove to this guy that I love her so much that she can kiss him right now and there will be no problem. Which genuinely she was right about that. But a little bit of heads up, please. Like, dude, I like this guy. Can I kiss him? Like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go out, not watch that, and just don't feel really nice about it because it's too sudden. But do what you want. Bye bye. Yeah, that would be my reaction for sure. But she just leaned in and kissed the guy. So I was like, what the? Yeah. The guy jumps away scared. So I guess my face, you know, if I, like, what the? If I do this, like, obviously, yeah, people are gonna be scared. I'm sorry. My face is scary, I guess. I mean, shit. But I really don't mean, you know, like, my words can be big. I'll say, I'll rip your head off, but I don't mean that. It's like just Balkan culture, temperament. We say loads of big things, but we're just, you know, generally just very passionate people. That's all there is to it. And I didn't mean to harm the guy or anything. I even immediately said to him, dude, it's nothing your fault. Why are you running away and being scared? You didn't do anything wrong. It's just this woman. She's driving me crazy with this kind of stuff. I got mad, yeah. Called her names, called her all the stuff. It was intense and insane. And then the next day we had another like massive arguments, pushing each other and stuff. I packed my shit and left. Like, we were supposed to go to the capital city of Lithuania and stuff, Vilnius, together. So I just left by myself. And I wanted to just basically go home. Even though we would be on the same flight and sharing the seats and stuff, I just wanted to quietly go home, say nothing, and then make her pack her stuff and let her go. That was really my decision. I can't remember how the hell we managed to meet again in Vilnius. So a day before the flight. I can't remember how. Whether it was because of mobile phones and her begging me to do, or I just can't remember. But she is so charming. She can be so charming. She can be so nice. She can be really, really, really so good to you when she wants to and she needs and she feels vulnerable. So yeah, she got me. That was the time I should have really that was the time I was feeling like a complete idiot. And after all these years, I still feel like a complete idiot. So what that did to me resulted in, I think not so long after, in a very idiotic reaction. We were supposed to meet somewhere in the city with her friends and her mom, and I didn't like those friends of her because more than half of her wanted something else from her than the friendship. And I kept telling her to stop throwing herself and attention and her pearls and diamonds at the pigs. So yeah, naively that was still going on for a long, like just flirting with other guys, doing that kind of stuff. Like, I was such an idiot, really. So there was a point something happened with this. We didn't meet, but I also had more than a few beers too many that time, and it was early in the afternoon. So when she came, it was like 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And yeah, I was reflecting on all these feelings of mine because I got drunk. I was like, shit, I'm such a fool, I'm such an idiot. What is she doing to me? She's constantly tricking me and doing this stuff, playing with my feelings. I'm like, I'm a complete idiot. I need to get rid of her. I need to get her out. So that was the moment that I blindly, she didn't do anything, yeah? That's true. That day she didn't do anything. She didn't do anything wrong. She didn't say anything wrong. It was just me. I got mad at myself for not doing it back then when it was the time to do it. So I simply wanted to shut the door and tell her to not come. I got pissed off and I said, you're not coming inside. She came to the door, then like, leave me alone. You're not coming inside, go somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. We were in front of the entrance of the flat. The argument got loud. She started to push because the door was kind of half open. She started to push herself inside and through me. And thinking that, if I can't push her away, I can't talk her away, that smacking her away will scare her enough. But I didn't hit hard. I hit her, I slapped her with an open palm. But what I did do is I hit her on the face like this, with this. So, she tried to avoid, and idiot as I was, she got unconscious. I immediately was worried and like, that was just so wrong. At that point, I basically just knew I messed up a lot. Like, I messed up badly. She called the police, or the neighbors called the police. I got arrested. I paid the fine for that stuff. I took my DNA, so it's in the record. And that was the mistake, like for myself, of course, in the first place, because I really never wanted to lay my hands on the woman. Even though with my ex-wife we had a similar thing. She slapped me, I kind of hit her back, but that was it. It was not that bad, nobody passed out, nobody got hurt, but we also kind of managed to talk through that stuff, and then we never repeated it again because we understood that this was just us being a little bit too drunk that night. And that ex-wife was also talking really bad about another guy and stuff like that. So similar situation, women emotionally abusive and not appreciating the men that love them so deeply. So we had arguments about that stuff. But it wasn't that badly, with that bad outcome. Like, we just understood that this is not the right thing to do. And yeah, having done it like this just broke me as well. It was really, I felt, you just feel like you owe her everything. You feel that you are obliged to do whatever she says, whatever she does, eat a lot of the bad things that they will do to you because of it, and all that blame and guilt. And yes, I did. I kept paying the price. In a nutshell, now, to close off these too many details about her and stuff, and not make her more angry and think that I'm going, or claim that that I'm lying about what she did later on in our relationship and all this stuff. We were both very good and also very bad to each other. And in her words, she will say that I was really abusive to her. I was defensive because, when you're being called an effing idiot all the time and all this stuff. And yeah, she was very angry because I tried to avoid conflicts between us about smoking by trying to hide the smoking or hide the amount of smoking and stuff like that. The only thing I really wasn't honest with her was this fact that I smoked. And also, obviously, you're going to all ask, well, why did you stay with her so long? We've got 3 kids. I'm loyal. I love kids. I love my children. And with the first child, her pregnancy was actually good, not that bad, but the labor was just a massacre. It was super traumatic for her. I've never seen anything so bad as that. The Lithuanian hospital. They cut her up. I mean, because they said that she was too tight, but basically they were just pressuring her and putting. She was not. There was no able. This woman could relax and give a normal birth, and she wanted to do it without the drugs even, which made it a lot more painful and challenging. But they were just putting emotional pressure on her, and me not speaking Lithuanian, I couldn't do anything about it. I was just basically, I felt there like a goddamn idiot, and I just tried to do whatever I thought was best, and those women were telling her to do, and I, don't know everything about that shit. I know a lot, but not everything. So I don't know, she even blamed me for some of the stuff that happened there. It was really, really hard. I just tried to stand by her side, and apparently whatever I did was wrong. It was terrible. Like, I've seen my sister getting born at home. My first child, I was there. It was, all of these were beautiful experience, but that one was just terrifying. It was traumatic. My daughter was born lifeless. It took 20 seconds for her to start to breathe. My heart just stopped. And then the daughter, like, I mean, as really, she's such a sweet child right now, so good. But the first 2 years with her were a nightmare. I've never imagined having such a difficult life with a child, to be honest. As much as I'm saying kids are great, and yes, it was after everything that's been then and there. It was worth the effort. It was worth everything with my daughter that we did, or I did. It was tough. It was challenging, but it was worth it, because now everything is a reward. Every talk with her, every hug, all of it is a reward for what we both went through the first 2 years. And this child would be just screaming non-stop, really screaming to the top of her lungs every 2 hours, whether it was hunger. It was impossible to figure out. And I just know that this was so difficult for her, for my partner. I was worried, really, really worried. I just couldn't help. I didn't know how to. But she was depressed. She was in a state of shock even. A lot of things. She just never connected. I think for a long time she didn't connect with this child like all the mothers do. And that terrified me. It was just something else. Really something else. And for what I've been through in life and stuff, all the shit that, I don't know, what we've done to each other up to that point, and this stuff just really, really affected me in a way that was very stressful. And at that point, yeah, because also when we were there, we moved to Lithuania for a year, when I still had that job with an American company, and that thing fell apart just 2 weeks before we had to move. So coming to Lithuania without that really good regular income was also a challenge. I made some mistakes, but yeah, I had some work. It wasn't well paid, but it was good. We could pay the bills. It wasn't the best. It wasn't that fancy living we did before. She was stressed about it. More than a few times we would be a bit hungry and stuff. But at the end of the day, it took only a year for me to get a really well-paid job in Amsterdam again, so we moved back. And yeah, other than her periodic outrages and being, what can I say, including with myself, we were both difficult with each other. Things were actually going quite great. I was working a lot, hard. She was never happy about either that way or the other way, or I was too much away from home, working too much. She was too much home alone, and you at least go out to work and you hang with people. She doesn't understand that working is not the same as having beers with buddies and stuff. And that, yeah, even though I do take care of the family and I want to be there, with all of the shit that we've been through and all that stuff, I also needed a little bit more personal space than she, than I could give everything to her. So it was a bit of giving, but also a bit of taking and stuff. It was not all the best, of course. When we came to a point that our intensity and frequency of the arguments was just getting worse and worse. And then one thing follows another. Um, I also quit my really well-paid freelancing career. Wanted to do a business with some people. I got scammed by one. Well, I didn't get scammed, but I got promised something that they couldn't deliver. And then 2020 and COVID, and financially, just things didn't go really well since. And at that time, we started undergoing therapy, couples therapy. I got calmer. Things got a little bit better between us. We could communicate better and stuff. But that was all because, still again, another pregnancy. So she became a mom for the like, third time. Everything was really, really heavy, like low blood pressure and stuff. I think she was one of the unluckiest women when it comes to pregnancy symptoms, the bad ones and stuff. So yeah, it took a toll on us both. But yeah, I honestly can say I did my best to try and be there for her and do whatever I could, but also take the time for myself as much as I could. I didn't travel. I didn't go anywhere. I had no holidays, no vacations. I just worked hard most of the time. So my Zen garden was going to play some pool and, hang with friends, maybe a bit too often, but still, it is. Sometimes you just gotta try and understand people, and then maybe they will be at home more often. There were also, like, I really dropped like a lot of things. I adapted, I changed. I was there more. I did spend more time and with kids and with her. And then especially after having changed my career and stuff, I also wanted to do it, to be more with them, because, working 8 to sometimes 12 hours a day, it's hard on the family with kids and stuff, especially 2 or 3 small children. So whatever I wanted to do is like keep making the same good money, but just work less. I mean, not the same, but obviously it reduces the way you're gonna make how much money you're gonna make. But yeah, we couldn't afford that high rent for this really big house anymore, so we got into trouble there. There was some issues and debt and stuff. We got into the social flat, which I fought hard for and stuff. So I really did everything what a man can do. And I just kept going deeper and deeper into the zone of like burnout and stress and being exhausted, and I couldn't function anymore. With this flat that we got was too small, 3 kids, non-stop screaming, us having the problems. With her, basically, there's a PPMD, which is a lot of related what we call the PMS. Women become more agitated, more irritated, just difficult to bear at every period that they have. And with her personality issues like projecting and mirroring and stuff, which comes like, you know, you want to just shed the light on where she holds the responsibility for the trouble that we both have. And you want to tell her, look, this is where you need help for yourself. I know where I need to find mine. Let's do this. You do yours. You do your part. I do mine. There has to be more routine, more structure, more this, more for the kids. Like, there were stuff I kept repeating, but it was hard for us alone to actually achieve that. But I must say, honestly, with my ability to do and manage that, it was just the fact that she resisted so much, and while accusing me of being selfish, like I was providing for all of that stuff all these years. She did, as she was housekeeping, she took care of the kids, she took care of cooking the food, she takes care of me and all this kind of stuff. Of course, we split the roles. So I don't know, like, but now at the end of after all this, if I ask her how much did I do and how much did I contribute, she will honestly and really say things that are so badly untrue, as in that I spent less than half of the time of us living together working, which is insane. I'm so hurt, and I can't even, it's impossible to try and communicate that. It's just became so bad that now I'm like, I need help and therapy because of how much this hurts me. So yeah, what's the lesson here? In the whole life, I've been through a lot of pain, through a lot of suffering and a lot of shit. I managed to fix it myself. But when you find yourself really and truly deeply loving someone so much, you rather still be, you should be still careful enough and love yourself enough that never mind how much you really love that person, when they hurt you too much, when they cross your boundaries, now whether you manage to tell them about your boundaries or you're gonna tell them then when it happens, that alone doesn't really matter. But when they do cross your boundaries, tell them. Tell them about these boundaries. Tell them why you don't like it, everything. Try to talk it out. And really, depending on how they respond and how they react, you're gonna see whether they are worth being given another chance or not. But if you really, just by a slightest chance, you think or you feel or whatever is just like wrong, there's any red alert, out. Please. It's possible that you might come back. It's possible that you might find ways to fix that stuff and fix yourself. She's fixing herself maybe, but it has, whatever needs to be done has to be done. And this was my biggest mistake with her and before and stuff. We always, we open ourselves to others, we allow them to enter, and we allow others to hurt us. That is the fact. When we're adults, we allow others to hurt us. Not when we're kids. We don't have a choice. We can just heal those wounds. We can transform. We can find help and stuff like that. But believe me, guys and girls and ladies, if you're not gonna deal with your toxic, self-centered, narcissistic partners on the spot when it has to be done, it's gonna leave a huge freaking mark. And so bad that, like, I've literally manifested in the past 3 months everything I was afraid of. Losing my home. I didn't lose contact with my kids, but it's just insanely difficult to maintain my daily life and basics, to just be a good father. And I should be legally entitled. This is the best part, where the Dutch people, the system and the culture just really, if you get misunderstood by a slightest, just once, and mislabeled as, violent, aggressive, whatever, forget it. You lost the battle. You will not achieve anything. I don't get any welfare. They rejected me everywhere. I don't get any, given that, as a father, I should be getting a social apartment, at least on the paper, nothing. They let me on the streets, they let me be all alone. Sounds like I'm playing a victim role, of course, but I'm just really describing the situation as it is. In the meantime, I've had quite few multiple assaults from people. Like, there was a guy with an actual broken arm that jumped on me in the hostel. For whatever reasons he had, really nothing I would trigger him, or at least not intentionally. He wanted to fight me. I didn't fight. There was a guy who hit me with a car, cut me off on the bicycling lane. He took a knife out and threatened to stab me. We did have a bit of an altercation, but given that I really wanted to hurt him badly, I made sure that I only defend myself enough so he can't reach and harm me, and there were no injuries for him. His groin, his balls hurt for a few seconds. His liver hurt for a few seconds. So he was paralyzed a bit. He couldn't move. But I literally, under all of these circumstances, having lost my home, having lost everything, having lost my patience, the same day I was assaulted by another crazy woman. And the police were involved. And I will have to, I'm looking for a new place to live because of that, even though the lady that owns this place is so super kind. She still keeps me in. I would kick myself out. I wanted to leave immediately, to not cause her any more concern, because she's 44, she's pregnant, she's in a very not good situation at the moment, so I can't cause her stress. It's just ridiculous what's going on. Really, unbelievable stuff. So yeah, I'm in such a weird situation. Like, I should be right now probably sleeping under some bridge and stuff. If it wasn't for a good friend of mine, Tina, I wouldn't have enough to eat. Like, in this super badly unlucky situation, I'm so blessed by a stranger saving my life, offering me a roof above the head and a warm place to be. Tina, who feeds me. I love you, Tina. It's just weird. You know, the worst thing is that our last argument happened when I went to Tallinn. I was working there 16 hours every day on my feet. I got so inhumanely exhausted. It was 7 days straight, back to back. No rest, no sleep. I had toothache, so it was extreme. I was doing it on painkillers with toothache. I got the tooth ripped out in the, before I went there, but it was still hurting me for more than half of the work time there. Phew, crazy shit. And I come back home basically to kind of our anniversary. And yeah, I asked the wrong question, what was up, because I saw on her face that she was very unhappy again. And yeah, when you work so hard your whole life already, and then you came from one of the hardest working weeks in your life, exhausted as hell, and you ask like, what's up? What's the matter? What's wrong? Why being here with you feels so strange? And the first words that come out of her mouth, she says, when you were not around, the life was so easy. Yeah, really, that was so difficult to hear. I just immediately said, I'm sorry for interrupting, but okay, I didn't want to ask, I didn't want to know. It's hard to hear. On Monday, which was 3 days from there on, and I know that was hard for her to wait and all of it. On Monday we have a therapy, let's discuss it there, please. This is too hard, I'm just too tired, I'm too exhausted. Because of the guy who hired me for the Tallinn job and her screaming and abuse for 2 days in a row, I lost my nerve. So I didn't hurt her intentionally. I threw the keyboard of the PC into the wall and it coincidentally bounced into her hip. Police got involved because of all our arguments and records, even though a few times I called the cops, a few times the cops were called by the neighbors, and I wasn't the one loud or aggressive. Still, I lost the game. She won. Guys, don't let yourself go that deep, or anyone, girls, guys, whatever. Don't allow yourself to lose everything because you love someone so much. Don't get absorbed. If they call you selfish and stuff and shit, and you know you've like given so much more, it's not a competition, goddammit, but you know, like you're 10 years older, you've worked harder, you've worked longer, you've risked more, you sacrificed more, and they still keep complaining all the time about you. I mean, it's pretty fair to say that's like, dude, I gave you more, and you took more than I could give you. Let's put it that way. You took a lot more than I could give you. And it's like, what the hell? It was just madness. I can describe 8 years of madness. There was loads of passion, super beautiful moments when we traveled around and stuff. Oh God, and when she was pregnant, when I had to take care of her and stuff, when we had these sweet moments together as a family and shit, and with kids and stuff. Yeah, loads I can be grateful for. But the one thing I'm most grateful for is the most painful lesson, that the person I needed the most taught me that I don't need anyone. And that sucks. You devote yourself so much, you're loyal, and then in the end what you get is like when you ask them, but in the long run, would you still want to live together? And the answer is just straight no. Not even maybe after the therapies and whatever we could do each other for ourselves and together. Just straight no. Like I feel used. I feel abused. And yeah, whether she will ever acknowledge this or not, abandoned. Tough. And yeah, I'm more hurt and traumatized by this stuff. I have more nightmares and post-traumatic stress syndromes and symptoms at the moment just from this one relationship in my life. And it's not so much because of, what we did to each other. It's because the love for the kids, all these dreams that we had and stuff. Like, it was just wow. I mean, that was it for me. This was my purpose. That was my life, everything. And now it's just, after I lost my e-bike even, well, got stolen. I do admit it was my lack of care and just reading the situation and the place where I was that contributed to getting the bike stolen. I had a bad feeling about it and I didn't act on the feeling. So if you have an intuition, if you have a good intuition, even if you don't know what to do with it, trust that inner voice of yours. It's guiding you somewhere where you have to be and you need to be. It's gonna save your life. It's gonna save other people's lives. Many things. Just one thing you can rest assured, even if you can see the future, it doesn't mean you're gonna be able to change it. You can. Destiny is not permanently written anywhere. We all have the choices. We all have free will. But the intuition tells you what you need to be prepared for. It won't tell you how to prepare. It won't give you any other tips, but it will tell you what to prepare for. Whether it's a guy cutting you off on the highway, whether it's some aeroplanes in the future being dropped onto a building and you know that it was not just a coincidence. Whatever it is, it's gonna tell you. You're gonna see it, you're gonna feel it. And every time you don't act on that, you get slapped in the face by life. I think we all know this lesson, those who have been through this and understand what I'm talking about. Don't know that I'm not just crazy. Yeah, officially, like, I don't have any heavy stuff. No schizophrenia, no manic depression, no stuff like that. Like I said, PTSD, ADHD, male aggression, but I think that's kind of like an overlap with the PTSD and stuff. And the rest of the stuff is pretty good. Oh, I do have a really, really high empathy score, which I guess it helps me balancing out my stress and shit. Yeah, you gotta trust yourself. You gotta do the best. I honestly, right now, one thing that, let's say, if I focus on the mistakes I made in the past, even when I was making good money and I was successful, it was a bit ups and downs. It was like not very stable. The things you should do is do things consistently. Yeah? So finances, at the beginning of the month, find the amount that you can actually afford to lose. If that's 20 euros, if that's 50 or 100, whatever it is, every month, and invest that immediately. Like, invest it into stocks, invest it into crypto, mix and match. I mean, like, mix your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, not in one stock, not in one crypto, but spread it out, do more, and do every month the same. Literally do every month exactly the same, because it doesn't matter whether the market's going up or down. In the long run, 10 to 20 years, the results are going to be guaranteed different than what you can expect. And, don't be greedy. Just do stuff consistently and forget about it. Don't look into that account. If it blows up, you take only out what is, let's say, what is good to reward yourself, but you leave the rest inside. Maybe reinvest the excess of the winnings if you really do get lucky. Make sure that you invest like then 80% of those excess winnings into some really stable assets like property or gold or whatever, the stuff that keeps the value over a very long term of time. Because that's really important. If you want to have a stable future, stable life, you gotta save for the rainy days as soon as you can and really do that. It's like, educate yourself on the financial awareness, what you need to do, how to get financially stable, how to get financially free, how to save the money, how to invest, how to do stuff. It's not rocket science. It's really not difficult. And now with all this stuff like ChatGPT, you can literally just go and ask ChatGPT how to do safe long-term investment, how to do compounding, how, just to get familiar with those terms, and it's going to explain to you everything like a baby. So you don't even need to pay for anything anymore to learn stuff. Really, you don't. I have learned most of the stuff I've learned either as an expert or as a person in life and stuff, to help myself and to help others and to fix stuff and to integrate systems and become a great engineer and stuff. I've learned all that through internet for free. Like, and hands-on, of course. You gotta do stuff. If you don't do anything, you're not really gonna learn. Just reading about stuff, it's not gonna, reading and dreaming is not gonna get you anywhere. You gotta take action. And that's the next part. Investing is obviously taking action. You always got to take action. If you've got an idea, you've got a business, you've got something you want to do, like a new hobby, you want to try out something, you want to learn something, just go and try it. Just go do it. Even if it turns out that you didn't like it in the end and wasn't something that for you, never mind. You got the experience. You got to know yourself better. That's the whole point, because most people think that they really know a lot and that they are kind of like most knowledgeable on a lot of subjects, including myself. I also fall for these, projections, Dunning-Kruger effects and stuff. We all suck. None of us are perfect, and none of us know the best. Shit, this is really, if you think that way, then it's wrong. You must be one of those people who need help. The point is that like I'm quite knowledgeable on a lot of subjects. I'm like a book and Google. Even my ex-wife, she would say, call me a complete idiot, but on the other hand, she often said, I don't even need Google, I just have to ask you. And then on the other hand, she would complain that I act like I know everything. Like, I don't act like it. I'm not like the guy who wants to be right and wants to prove everything right. But it is what it is. If I'm right, I'm right. If I've proven enough evidence and you can research it yourself and stuff, yeah, there it is. It's a fact. It's an objective fact. So we can stop arguing about it and being opinionated, right? So I really don't like opinionated people, and I can be quite assertive and sometimes a complete dick to them. I'll be honest. Like, my language here is adapted to the fact that I'm going to share it on the social media. In a person, I swear a lot. I am a bit vulgar. And I don't shy away. I'm not hiding. Like, I hit my woman. She hit me too. That's it. We all make mistakes. So that's the whole point. What I'm trying to make, is like, stay sharp. Do stuff that's going to make you feel good, and be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with others. Know what you want. Get clarity. Set yourself your own goals. And just keep going every day. Whatever it is. I mean, I can tell you, like I said, living the wildest dream, going places, doing stuff, skydiving, all this shit. I mean, when I was a kid, when I said to myself, 13 years old, promised to myself, I'm going to do whatever it takes in my life to live a better life than my parents did. And I clearly did that. I never imagined that I'm going to be actually traveling to another continent. That was so far off for me. I was at best, my goal was to have a home, to have my house. No, I achieved more. I probably spent, I think, I was calculating, I've spent in my life, I think, over €1.5 million on the rent and living and just having fun. So I was a millionaire already. I'm actually rich, I'm wealthy. Even though right now I don't have more than €4 in my pocket, and I think 50 euros in my account, and of which the 50 I was sent by Tina today, so I can, eat something. I'm rich, I'm wealthy, and I know that, at the end of the day, as much as right now I'm in a rather impossible situation, I've been there before. I've taken myself out of this kind of stuff before, but the lessons, what I've learned through all of this is that level of consistency that I was lacking. That means investing consistently, having a plan, having a goal, making sure that I'm doing not doing the right thing. You can't know always. We all make mistakes all the time. We all learn, but just kind of making sure that I'm going clear, that I've got this clarity in the direction for myself, because I allowed my life to be directed by others a lot. So this is what you do, this is your job, this is what we want from you. And I achieved that, clearly, with really good results. Not always. Again, so there were some jobs I screwed up. Recent IT job, it's not that I wasn't good at it, it was just too boring. It was too easy. And I'm not saying the company, great company, great people, they helped me a lot. They wanted to give me whatever they could. But because of my burnout, stress at home, emotional shit and stuff, and this kind of double-faced manipulative attitude I got from the person I loved, I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't go. I was demotivated, I felt dead, empty, and just copy-pasting the same line of code was killing me even more. So we mutually agreed that I leave. And, I tried my business on e-bikes, I tried this, I tried that, just everything was not going well. Why? Because I was constantly confused about my my life, my emotional states, whether living with this person was even the right decision and all this stuff. And when you doubt yourself so much, when you're so consumed by all of that, you're not gonna succeed. Whatever you're gonna do, it's gonna fail. Pretty much. Like in my case, I got an opportunity, but all the best I got from it was like I could have a meeting and talk to a person about it. Or in the best case, it was like, yeah, man, we really need you. And then when I met the guy, I know he wants to do good and wants to help, but they decided because they are moving to a new studio and they have loads of expenses, they just can't have my services right now. It's not that urgent for them. So everything just slipped out. And that's what's going to happen if you allow yourself to get so screwed up by your own choices in the first place, and consumed by emotional abuse and manipulations. You gotta stay safe. Let's say I watched some of the Andrew Tate stuff, and don't get me wrong, I'm not that kind of a guy who would say that he's doing all the best. No, he has some valid points. Let's say when he says that men in today's system in society are largely forgotten. This is something I fully agree with him. It's like we talk a lot about sexual abuse and we always think only about women. We talk about child sex abuse and we think it's only women. We talk about rape. We talk about other stuff. Believe me, okay, 50% of women get raped. But don't you think that 30% of men is a huge number? And this is not just prisoners and rapes in prisons. Now, men actually get raped, like at rave parties. They get raped at friends' parties, drugged and raped by other guys. Maybe don't even know about it or find it out later through some therapy or whatever, because even if you were unconscious, your subconscious mind is never going to hide the truth from you. It's always going to come back. And the more it's suppressed deep down inside, and the more you're consciously unaware of the troubles that you've had and you've been through, whether you live in a denial or you just don't know what happened, it's gonna come back at you fucking violent. It's gonna really, really mess with you. And that's why mental health is also very important. Keeping up, with your own self-observation, keeping up with your mental health. Even, don't feel stigmatized if you have to go to the therapist and get help. Go get it. There's nothing wrong. But just make sure you get the right help. If you feel like the person's not helping you, they're not really getting you, they don't really listen, and they're giving you some, book responses and stuff, and just don't really appreciate your personality and how different you are. Maybe you're one of those intuitive people who sees the future and conspiracy theories. Don't be afraid to talk about it. It's nothing wrong. If you believe in something to be true, you shouldn't be judged. And a good therapist will not judge you. They will just try to help you see what is real and what is not. If you can prove your point to them, as in there is a conspiracy and you can prove it, believe me, I've had more than a few therapists, well, at least two so far. The one that started working together with us and my wife, and the one that I have, they both understood after a while talking to me that I'm not delusional, I'm not paranoid, I'm basically not insane. Yeah, I'm not a lunatic. But I do have some issues, and I do have some talents to which most of the science is already catching up, but we're still getting there. There's a thing called Monroe Institute. They did a lot of research on all of this kind of stuff and meditation and binaural audio and stuff. So this is not new. This is not some new age stuff, and it's not pseudoscience. Actually, there was a lot more pseudoscience in the mainstream media and follow the science in 2020 than we have in natural healing and holistic healing and stuff. Look up Wim Hof, for example. There's loads of evidence around it. We've been lied to, we've been deluded. The system is very corrupt. It's designed in a way. It's not broken. It works perfectly, but it's designed in a way that makes all of us actually just slaves to those who hold the biggest power. And it's not just the money, it's a lot more and stuff. So yeah, it's challenging out there. And it's basically, like the way I put it in a nasty way, we're in the middle of the war against humanity. And the only way you can actually free yourself is to be yourself, to know yourself, to challenge yourself. to be the best version of yourself, to be loving, caring, accepting human being. It's like, I don't know, let's say this trans subject. I I just cannot believe what's going on in terms of the division on both sides, like the extreme conservatives and then the extreme activists in terms of like they're very radical and violent. Like, let's say I was an anti-fascist. I still am an antifa to be honest, but I'm ashamed to admit. Why? Because these idiots are too aggressive and violent. They're like against people who are just trying to speak their mind. That's not what anti-fascism is all about. If someone is an idiot, yes, so fine, you can go there and tell them they're an idiot once or twice, but you don't keep shouting in their head whatever it is that they are. You don't keep punching them in the nose if they're not attacking you first. Like, violence is only good to defend yourself when it's really necessary. That's it. Screw Antifa, screw BLM, screw 2SI LGBTQ+. You know, just be yourself. Be openly and honestly yourself, whoever the F you are. I don't care. Like, no one is bothered if you want to dress in whatever. No one is bothered if you want to wear makeup and whatever body you are in, whatever gender you identify yourself with, or whatever animal or interdimensional beings. I'm sorry, people. Some of you just have really deep issues and you don't find help. You keep crying, you keep dragging attention, but you're basically just narcissistic, broken people, feeling sorry for yourselves, doing nothing about it at all. Nothing, not even trying. That's my problem, including some of those that were closest to me. Unable to acknowledge, unable to admit, fine, I can forgive that. If you don't have the ability, if you have such blockages that you don't see it, I can forgive that too. But when you were presented with all the cards on the table, people told you honestly and openly, and you had these opportunities already millions of times to fix the shit and do the right thing. Don't come complaining again to anybody and blaming them for whatever's going on. Really. This world is gonna be better and free only and if you're like, I don't know, like myself, walking through hell, walking through the most difficult and darkest times, and you're still gonna be looking for the best in yourself and the best in others, and just do really something with love, at least something. But if you can do anything out of love, or everything out of love, then you are a master already. Like, it's really not, it's not required to just meditate in desert for 20 years to get enlightened. You don't have to levitate if you're enlightened. You don't have to have superpowers. It's like in so many shapes and forms, we all get there. Because at the end of the day, we're born and we die in this life cycle. And how many life cycles we have, it doesn't even matter. That's the part of existence itself, the life and death. It's all yin and yang. And we cannot escape that duality. You know, like people who think singularity and all this kind of stuff, bullshit. It's not gonna happen. It's a different dimension of living entirely. What we have here is always these two opposing forces. It's always like what we describe, the bad and the evil, the light and the darkness. And it's this, look at the yin and yang symbol, constantly circling around. The balance itself is important, not going for one side or the other. Like, I'm the Democrat, I'm the conservative, I'm left, I'm right, I'm white, I'm black, I'm this and that. Dude, all of our bones are white when you lay them to the grave. We all smell like shit when we start to rot, when we die. Like, it's all the same. Biomechanically, we're the same kind of types of machines. It's our perceptions and our beliefs and our neurological programming and indoctrination and all of this stuff that makes us who we kind of uniquely are as persons. And even that in itself is an illusion. You are not a name. You're not your past. You're not your parents. You're not your job. You're not, even if you call yourself like, oh, I am a guru. No, you're not. If you ask yourself who you really are, you're gonna find the fact that answering that question is probably one of the most challenging things. Who are you? Am I, Demir? Yeah, it's my name. But who am I? Who are you? Try to answer this to yourself. You're gonna find that, like, it's hard to find meanings and words to explain. But there is still you behind there. What is it? Is it a soul? Is it a consciousness? You don't have a clue, do you? Right? That's the whole part. When you explore that part of yourself, when you find out who you are, or at least start finding who you are, then you're gonna start to understand that life, the world, society, fabrics of reality, even the stuff that's going on the spiritual level and the material level, individually, together as humanity, and all of this stuff is really, really connected, well important. Like we have deeper issues like than some climate changes. We're killing ourselves with plastics and we don't even freaking see it. We don't see the stuff that we really do bad. And when we do something good, we also don't pay attention. And then our attention span is short. Like we're afraid of being criticized. We're afraid of doing the hard work. We're afraid of doing the stuff that just makes us really freaking great. Everything easy, everything comfortable, everything is supposed to be like fake Instagram life. Seriously, people? You know, that's why I'm not editing this video. That's why I'm not really being careful so much about what I say. I dropped a few F-bombs. If it's gonna be deleted, you're gonna find it on another platform, don't worry. But what I'm trying to say is like, being genuinely honest, it can cost you a lot, like in my case, but god damn it, it's the best wealth you can ever have. Really. And I don't know why people, you're also stuck up, like as in trying to play a game of who you're really not, and then complaining about the system or the god or whatever other stuff is going wrong with your life. You know, everything happened to me, like as in like loads of weird stuff happened to me just in the past 3 months. But I can totally tell you how much of that I am responsible for myself. Because of my mindset at that moment, because of my energy, because of my emotional state. And if I thought that, you know, that I need something to change it, no, it's like, it can be done in a moment, but you gotta just keep doing it. Keep doing, keep being, consistently, whatever the cost. True freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. True freedom comes from knowing that you've really earned whatever you have, and that the opportunities and the money and you know, traveling, whatever you desire and you want. You can have anything you want. That is easy. Making money is easy. Going around, achieving your dreams, that's the easy part. Making sure that you stay free, making sure that you've built strong fundamentals, and making sure that you respect yourself enough, love yourself enough, that you don't get so messed up with messy people like I did. That takes huge amount of responsibility, consistency, self-awareness, continuous work on yourself. Don't get distracted. Never mind. Yeah, I know love is beautiful and stuff, but just because something feels nice and it is beautiful, it doesn't mean it's real love. You gotta be really aware. And you gotta appreciate yourself more, even more. Never mind how selfish and egoistic it sounds, but no. It's actually the most healthy thing one can do for themselves. Because when you love yourself enough to be able to shut the door behind the toxic people and get them out of your life, you're probably gonna be able to open the doors for the right people much better and really give them an opportunity to, you know, show themselves. So you can trust them, and you know that there is still something true and real out there. And for the rest of you people who like to be fake, who like to pretend and lie and twist things around, you all know who I'm talking to. Some of you very personally, even though I shouldn't anymore. I could say like, F you. Yeah, that's kind of the funny things to say, but you know, the best thing to say is like, I hope you find yourself, I hope you free yourself, I hope you forgive yourself and heal yourself. Otherwise, F you. It's still up to you, it's on you. And sometimes we can't have the nice things in this world because of guys and people like you. I mean, and ladies, so that's it. You know, you gotta own your shit. You gotta be accountable for what you do. Every thought, every emotion, every word. I'm also gonna take accountability for everything I've said in this video. If you wanna say I'm stupid, I'm lunatic, I'm just a loser, whatever, say it, whatever. If you bring any value to the discussion, I'll be more than happy to engage and talk to you. And yeah, I don't know. Also, obviously feel free to shoot some questions and maybe let me know what's the next thing I should be talking about. Take your time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, there's gonna be more. That's a part of my promise for the consistency. I'm probably just not gonna be talking so bloody long, sorry. And I hope I made a good story. I don't even know how I put it all together, to be honest. Yeah, bless you all, love you all. See you next time. Peace.